Nick Wright's 2026 NFL Mock Draft 4.0 is officially underway. The Las Vegas Raiders are now on the clock.
Live from New York. It's a show that is ready for the draft. Kevin Wildes, Chris Broussard, Coach Mangini, a lot of celebrity cameos for Nick Wright's 4.0.
And I have good news, bad news.
Okay.
Start with the bad news. You know, it's not really kosher these days to tip picks. You know,
No.
Social media, you want the suspense.
Yes.
If you're watching right now, suspense. I think we're going 32 of 32.
Yeah,
I think that we are gonna have the draft before the draft.
It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
We're headed back to Siciliano in LA. Take a listen.
With the first pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Las Vegas Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana University.
You're 1 for 1.
Thank you.
We are off to a hot
If
start.
you had missed that one, I was really going to be worried.
Number 1 overall picks after winning the Heisman and national title. It's a small group. Burrow, Jameis, and Cam. Can Mendoza follow the careers of those guys? Jameis, a little bit up and down, although he was at one point Brew's dark horse MVP.
Two of the three played in the Super Bowl. Listen, I would say if you're a Raider fan, your baseline expectation is he finally gives you stability at the position that you have not had since Derek Carr. And Derek Carr, who maybe a slightly underrated career, but if he only is Derek Carr, that's disappointing as a number 1 pick. You hope that this is the best quarterback you've had since Brew's favorite actual MVP, Rich Gannon, 20-some years ago. I think, to me, he profiles as about Kirk Cousins' level as far as quarterback hierarchy in the league. You just, so somewhere in that 12 to 14 range, but you hope he can be that with a better big game performance.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's a number 1 pick.
Yeah, lucky he has Kirk Cousins there with him.
Exactly.
That works out really well. I'm more excited about this for the Raiders than I was for Cam Ward last year, and I think he's set up a little bit better for success. They went and got the center with Tyler Lindenbaum, so that's a big piece of it because it helps with protections. Then you've got a guy like Brock Bowers who's a great outlet for a young quarterback, and you got Ashton Genty and an offensive head coach. So there's a lot of things that at least help him potentially be successful in his first year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. And what we disagree on is I think he might sit most of this season, and I think they'd be fine with that. Kubiak has talked about, he doesn't mind sitting a rookie quarterback. He might actually prefer it. I know he's going to have him under center a lot, which he never did in college. So he's got a lot of adjustments to make. And I think Cousins will be a perfect mentor for him. So he is definitely set up. If he can really play, then I think it'll work out for him because everything around him is set up.
All right, the Jets pick is in. Head back to Siciliano.
With the second pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the New York Jets select Arvell Reese, linebacker, Ohio State.
So Aaron Glenn came in, defensive head coach. We thought that the defense was going to stay strong. Not the case. Went from 4th to 12th to 20th to 31st. Didn't have an interception all year. Coach, now you've made some picks for the Jets, some great picks. How do you like Arvell Reese at 2?
Yeah, I still have a little bit of PTSD from the pick that I made that wasn't very great with Vernon Golston, who was another Ohio State linebacker, tremendous production, outstanding combine, but a little bit the same as Arvell in the sense that we weren't really sure where he was going to fit. We assumed it was going to be as an outside linebacker, worst case scenario as a defensive end, but it ended up not working out at all. And there's so many things to like about this player, but he's played about half his snaps on the defensive line and the other half in the box. So you got to have a plan for him coming in, and then hopefully that plan is a place where he can really excel. And this is the defense that needs this player to excel immediately.
The comp that people will use is Micah, obvious as a guy who didn't really have a position, but Micah while he played a lot of linebacker at Penn State, he's been almost exclusively a D-end in the pros. I think this is more the opposite, where I think his best spot is that more of that traditional middle linebacker role who will get most of his sack production blitzing. If that is the case, then that number 2 is probably a little rich to take a true off-ball linebacker. However, the Jets desperately need a star on defense. He is considered one of the safer picks in the draft and a stable guy who people expect to have a long, productive career. That's why I think the Jets go there.
So a lot of people think David Bailey is more ready to go right away. What made you go Reese over him?
Well, because, listen, I think David Bailey is the best pure pass rusher in this class, but a lot of people think David Bailey is just that. Right. Like that he is not an every down player, that he's a situational pass rusher. Some people have him going 2. I think he could slide.
Oh, okay. Cardinals pick is in.
I made the draft, so
He's sliding.
With the 3rd pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Arizona Cardinals select Francis Mauigoa, offensive tackle, University of Miami.
All right, so Cardinals trying to rebuild their offense. Obviously, they have a new quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, who sort of ended the year there. Kyler's in Minnesota, 23rd in points, 31st in rushing. They could not rush the ball, and they got sacked often. I like this, Nick. I like having tackles as sort of a foundational piece. We saw it with Tristan Wirfs when Brady first got to the Bucs. Like, let's protect Brady. Penei Sewell, obviously, Rashawn Slater, who was, according to Danny, practically the MVP once he goes down. Herbert falls apart. I like this pick for the Cardinals.
So listen, I do too. I also think number 3 is probably a little rich for a tackle who they're a little worried about. Is he going to need back surgery? However, they've spent their first-round pick the last 3 years on defensive linemen. They already have Paris Johnson as their left tackle. This is a scenario where we don't do trades in this mock. I could see Washington or New Orleans trading up to 3, Arizona at 7 or 8. This would definitively, I feel like, be their pick if they trade back. If they have no one to trade back with, I still think they could do it because it's such a position of need.
Yeah, it's pretty high pick for a right tackle, and now he does have the back issue that people are concerned about. But he had 42 consecutive starts, so he obviously can play through pain, and he did play through a significant amount of injuries. The concern I have is, is there any potential to move him to left tackle? It doesn't seem like it. What you're hoping for is that this worst case scenario, he's a rock solid right tackle for the next 10 years. Best case scenario, you may be able to move him over to left tackle and he can excel there. But this is like the Jonathan Ogden type space where, you're hoping this guy is going to be special.
All right, Titans pick is in.
With the 4th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Tennessee Titans select Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
Cam Ward gets a great weapon to try to jumpstart that offense. Final college season. Total yards, catching the ball too, Brew, 138, 21 touchdowns. Are you surprised that the Titans are loading up on offense?
No, I do love this, no pun intended. I don't know what it means for my man Tony Pollard, who has played well for them. He hadn't been a superstar, but I do like getting Cam Ward some weapons. They've invested in that offensive line over the past few years. They're hoping, obviously, it comes together, but you got to get him some weapons. I think they need, obviously, a receiver, too. They've tried to do a little bit there, but this guy, because you had the guys up there, Bijan, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon to a lesser extent, but as far as not just being a runner, but also being devastating as a pass catcher. Saleh was in San Francisco last year. He saw the value of a Christian McCaffrey and what he can do for quarterbacks. So I think that's great for Cam. And look, they need help in a lot of places, but getting him a weapon that he can check down to and other things, I think is good for him.
Yeah, I like the help for Cam Ward. I think Brian Daboll will do a good job of using him. And the thing that's unique about him is great time speed, but you see the time speed on the field, which you don't always with running backs. And he's not just an edge player. He's going to hit it up in between the tackles and then burst, which is pretty unique for a lot of those guys with that type of speed. My biggest concern is he split time at Notre Dame. If he's got to carry the load on a consistent basis over a much longer season, Can he do that?
Well, that's where maybe Tony Pollard comes in. Also, Jahmyr Gibbs, first few years in the league, split the load with David Montgomery, worked out great. Listen, the Titans have, in my opinion, the least explosive and the least amount of raw talent of any skill position team in the league. As far as receivers, tight ends, running backs, they need a playmaker. There's a reason that everyone has mocked Jeremiah Love to the Titans for months, and a reason that if someone else wants him, I think they'll have to trade up with Arizona to move in front of Tennessee to get him.
Harbaugh and the Giants pick is in.
With the 5th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the New York Giants select Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State.
So Sonny Styles, coach, first team All-American, 182 tackles over the last 2 seasons. He switched from safety to linebacker. Do you like this for Harbaugh's squad?
Yeah, I really like this. I like Sonny Styles a lot, and what I like about him is not just the rare combination of athleticism, and typically when you make a position change, you go from safety to linebacker, you're worried about whether or not you can be physical enough, and there's plenty of examples of him being physical in the box, taking on linemen. Is it perfect? It's not perfect, but it's getting better. Andy was the signal caller for him, so he provides that type of leadership. And I think when you look at the total package and the needs of the Giants, this is a very good fit for them.
He's the best raw athlete in the draft. And I think that Coach was talking about, their struggles defensively last year, even with Dexter Lawrence, particularly against the run. How are you going to deal with that now that Dexter Lawrence is gone? There is no interior D lineman in this draft worth anywhere near the 5th overall pick. So a player like Sonny Styles, who can help you against the run, also create explosive plays. You can line up in a bunch of different places. I would be pretty stunned if Sonny Styles is there at 5 and this is not the pick.
No, maybe the most dynamic defensive player in the draft, so I think this is great for them.
Okay, head to Cleveland. Browns pick is in.
With the 6th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Cleveland Browns select Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State.
Look at the recent first-round wide receivers from Ohio State. Ibuka, Marvin Harrison, JSN, Garrett Wilson, and Olave. Longest first-round wide receiver streak by any school ever. Here's wide receiver expert Greg Jennings.
All right, guys, Carnell Tate, obviously one of my favorite receivers in this draft. He is just simply the smoothest receiver that you're going to see in this draft. Ready-made. Obviously, when he's operating in the slot, he operates and runs his routes with intention and detail. He understands how to get open. This is one of those guys, kind of like the guys we've seen come out of this school prior to him, that is ready to go day one. Carnell Tate, no surprise, he's going to be a special one.
And by the way, KW, I think you can go ahead and pencil in. We're going to have 7 straight years of Ohio State receivers going number 1, because one of the few question marks about Carnell Tate is defenses were more concerned with his other receiver, Jeremiah Smith, who'll be out next year. So, what does that mean? Listen, I don't think he profiles as a superstar the way some of these other Ohio State receivers have.
Wow, but 6 is early for a non-superstar.
I don't think this draft has a bunch of superstars, to be totally candid, at least as far as how they project. But he is clearly, to me, the best receiver in this class, and let me rephrase it, the safest receiver in this class. I don't know if he has the most upside of any of the receivers in this class. And the Browns right now have Cedric Tillman, Isaiah Bond, and Jerry Jeudy as their receivers. They need some juice as far as weaponry, so I think wide receiver makes a lot of sense for them.
He's really good at the top of routes and does a great job with contested throws. There's a lot to like about him. The question I have with Cleveland is, when a position is so dependent on the quarterback, do you take that position this high with so much uncertainty at the quarterback position? There might be spots that can help him more next year than this one.
Part of it might be, though, they're trying to figure out, do we have a quarterback? So getting him now, if Tate is a really good receiver, okay, Judy's pretty good. Tate is maybe a star. And if he can't be good with them, assuming he has decent protection, then he's not our
You
guy.
know, receivers love it when quarterbacks are trying to figure out whether they're any good.
All right, Commanders on the clock at 7.
With the 7th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Washington Commanders select Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State.
Coach, back-to-back Buckeyes, Caleb Downs going to Washington, 2-time unanimous All-American, won the Thorpe Award last year. Do you like this for the Commanders?
Yeah, to put this in perspective, he had 107 tackles at Alabama as a true freshman. First time ever a freshman led Alabama in tackles. So that tells you how good he was at a program like that. And then the impact that he was able to have at Ohio State. And he played in a system with Matt Patricia last year that's more pro-ready than a lot of college systems are, and he excelled in it. And the thing that he does really well and what he allows you to do as a defensive coordinator is play him in a lot of different spots. He's an excellent communicator, he's an excellent leader, and he's a force multiplier, not by just the way he plays, but because he gets other people lined up and he helps them all play better. So I like this a lot.
He's my favorite player in the draft.
Oh.
And I think that the positional value stuff, I think, hurts him. In that, and I talk about this maybe more than most, but when you see, quarterbacks obviously are their own category, but we now have defensive ends making $50 million a year in Will Anderson. Wide receivers making $40 million a year. The best tackles making, upwards of $30+ million a year, more than that. And the best safeties still around 20, like the tight end scale, where guards make more than them. I think people just don't feel the value of, the rookie salary scale having an impact, safety or running back as much. But I think Downs had an argument that for his last 2 years at Ohio State, he was the best player in college football. I think he's 4 inches, 3 inches shorter than Kyle Hamilton, so it's a weird comp, but have that type of impact as far as being able to use him all over your defense and really make a splash.
No, that's what I was going to say. When you have a safety that can be used all at different spots on the field, you see through Hamilton how valuable they can be. So they need help, obviously, on defense. So I think this is.
There have been shots to David Bailey's family. He's dropping in the draft. They're sad. What's happening?
Saints pick is in, and we have a celebrity pick.
Wow.
Take a listen.
With the 8th pick of Nick Wright's Mock Draft 4.0, the New Orleans Saints select David Bailey, edge, Texas Tech. He's young, but he's not soft. You thought Bruto was just
Yeah, I thought it was a
a
Photoshop.
gig,
No.
a figment of your imagination?
You were not lying about stars.
We have several celebrity guests. I don't know if we put our best foot forward there.
As our lead celebrity.
As our lead celebrity.
Bruce wearing
Nevertheless,
It's not Brew, it's Bruto.
Sorry.
David Bailey to New Orleans, Brew. My question is, do you think that he makes an immediate impact?
Well, he should get the opportunity down there. And like I said earlier, he is the guy that I think is most pro-ready of those edge rushers. And so I don't know if he has the upside of, say, an Arvell Reese, but to come in day one and be productive, yeah, I think he's got a good chance to do that.
Can we throw the Wild's graphic back up on there? Because we were too busy basking in the afterglow of Bruto. So drafted in top 10 after leading the nation in sacks. I mean, if the worst player on that group is Chase Young as far as NFL production, and he's had he's only disappointing in that he was the 2nd overall pick but he's had a long, productive career. The first 3 are Hall of Famers. Will Anderson Jr. is building a Hall of Fame resume. He just became the highest paid non-quarterback ever. That is a very optimistic view, and it speaks to what his production was. But I mean, that's just where it was. Yeah. If he does start to slide, he is a player, coach, that I could see the Chiefs deciding to trade up for. Like if I think he obviously could go as high as number 2. If he doesn't go 2, though, I don't think he's going 3 or 4, and then I wonder if a team jumps up to get him.
Yeah, and he had not just a lot of sacks, but he had sacks in a lot of games. So 10 out of the 13 games, he had sacks. So it was consistent.
Didn't have like the 1 6-sack game against Citadel.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying he didn't.
Right, it wasn't overloaded against a lower comp by any stretch. And I could easily see him going number 2 to the Jets. And I'm a little surprised they had him going to New Orleans just because they were 10th in sacks last year. Now I know Cam Jordan's a free agent, so that's something that they want to address. I thought you were definitely going to go receiver here. But for him to be sitting here at this spot, it makes a lot of sense for anybody who wants a really good pass rusher.
Okay. I wonder if people are trading up for him.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
When you get in this range, it gets a lot more attractive.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, again, if he slides, is this a player Dallas would try to package and say, hey, we're going to, get Micah production at a much cheaper cost.
Yeah, you're out of the top 5.
Something like that.
What should the Chiefs do to help Mahomes at pick 9? That's next on FS1, the Fox Sports Channel on SiriusXM. Podcast is up and running, and check out our YouTube channel. There's all sorts of original.
Wow, who's that handsome fella?
Including some old hairstyles of Nick Wright. How is that one doing, John? Is that one? Oh, good for you. You know what I mean? Look at my jacket. Head back to the draft. The Chiefs are on the board from one champion to another. Here's IndyCar champ Alex Palou with the pick.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Real simple.
All right. With the 9th pick on Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Kansas City Chiefs select Ruben Bain Jr., defensive end, University of Miami.
Thank you, Alex, and congratulations on yet another win. Chiefs defense, for a while there, they were the best at sacking the quarterback, Chris Jones, in his heyday, but a fall off here. Ruben Bain, story of his draft is he has short arms. I don't know what to make of it.
As Nick would do with Will Campbell.
Well, again, I'm more worried about short-armed offensive linemen. However, the problem with short-armed defensive ends is most of the offensive linemen have long arms, then you can't reach them. However, people are like, because of the short arms, he comps to Brandon Graham. I watched Brandon Graham in the Super Bowl by forcing a strip sack of Tom Brady in 2017. People say
it's not the one I would miss.
Brandon Graham, for him, that was the biggest moment of his career, was that in that epic back and forth Super Bowl. People say get Mahomes some help. You know what helps Mahomes? Short fields, forcing turnovers, something the Chiefs have struggled with as of late. The Chiefs have not had an impact edge pass rusher since Frank Clark. How important was Frank Clark? All-time NFL history, postseason sacks. Willie McGinnis 1, Bruce Smith 2, Frank Clark 3. If you are trying to win championships, having guys who can end possessions defensively is important. This is the guy I had the Chiefs taking in mock draft 1.0. It's the guy who I believe the Chiefs will be taking tonight, and they just took in mock draft.
A lot of noise.
I love that Nick is going defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. It shows real growth in his whole progression. Look, dominant pressure numbers, came up in big moments. All those things are good. The arm issue is the arm issue, and historically, 30.5-inch arms ranks the 4th shortest arms in the draft. That's what he's at, and no player with arms less than 31 inches has ever recorded double-digit sacks in the NFL. So hopefully, for the Kansas City Chiefs, he will break that record.
I'm rooting for him, but
I don't love this.
That hasn't happened.
No, Giants.
With the 10th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the New York Giants select Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State.
So getting a look at this stat, we talk a lot about Jeremiah Smith as being a phenom. 88 yards in the last 2 years and 85 catches. Well, 85 or more receiving yards in the last 2 years. It's Jeremiah Smith and Jordan Tyson. For more on Tyson, here's wide receiver expert Greg Jennings.
All right, I got to be honest. Jordan Tyson, if it were not for the injury history, this would be my number one receiver because of his athletic ability. It pops off on the tape. Sometimes, even though he's so athletic at the line of scrimmage, he can do a little too much to get himself in trouble, but he always has a plan. He's great at run after the catch at moments. He could be better. But going down the field, being explosive, making big plays is what he does. He's a freak athlete. Love this pick right here.
Coach, we know you're our defensive expert. Too much offense for the Giants.
Yeah, well, Greg talked about at the top of it that the medical concerns are real. He's at the knee, he's at the collarbone, he had the hamstring. He held a private workout here recently, but there's been a lot of questions about that aspect. He's been a high-volume receiver for Arizona State and come up in big moments. There's been times where he's gone on heaters in terms of consecutive 100-yard games and things like that. So there's a lot of things to like about him. What I don't love with the Giants is you've got a receiver coming off injury. You bring in another receiver who's been prone to injury. Maybe that's unfair because they're all different body parts. I would have gone defense here again.
You double up on defense.
Yeah, yes, 100%.
Well, look, if he has injury issues in the NFL, this is going to look like a huge blown opportunity because to get 2 picks in the top 10 and one of them be blown when you already do have a great receiver with the injury history. So I love him, though. Greg was right. The talent is incredible.
I know this is going to sound weird. The collarbone, broken collarbone and torn ACL. The torn ACL, I feel like 90% of human beings would have had their ACL torn on the play it happened. He's got his knee blown up.
And then
collarbone
it was an MCL and PCL.
Right, no,
well.
his knee got blown up. But those don't, to me, feel like recurring injuries. When you watch him play, you're like, ooh, I could see that cut hurting your hamstring again. Like he is so, like his stop and start, that's what concerns me more.
Dolphins, pick is in.
Kadarius Toney-esque.
With the 11th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Miami Dolphins select Mansour Delane, cornerback, LSU.
Feels like the Dolphins are the one team that is truly in a complete rebuild. I don't know what we expect them to do this year as far as wins and losses, but
Yes, you do. We expect them to lose.
but how many?
15.
Oof. Yeah. So they've got a lot of holes, Coach. Do you like this as a start?
Yeah, look, anytime you can add a quality corner, it's a good thing, and they've got so many holes. And with him, he didn't allow a touchdown last year at LSU. He really wasn't targeted the last 4 games of the season. He gave up just 2 20-plus yard receptions last season, wasn't penalized. All those things are really positive. His ball skills could be a little bit better. Only 8 interceptions over the 45 games. You want that number to be higher. But this should be a solid corner for him for a while, and it's a team that needs so many parts.
Coach, I know you would prefer the Dolphins take bigger people. If you're rebuilding, take big people. I get it.
You usually try to go big early.
Right. Here's the rationale for it. When you have holes everywhere, this is the last premium position where you can get the number 1 player of the position. You understand what I mean? Like the quarterback is gone, running back, which isn't even premium position, is gone. The top receiver's gone. All the top front 7 defensive players are gone. The top tackle is gone. So if you want to be able to have a chance at get the number 1 player at his position, it's really corner or tight end or interior offensive lineman.
Like Sauce on the Jets, though.
Say it again.
Remind me of Sauce on the Jets. Like great player, foundational piece, but we still can't win.
But their depth chart at DB is like journeyman, and
yes.
I mean it's a pretty rough depth chart.
And Sauce was top 5 pick, so that's a little different than 11.
Cowboys on the board.
With the 12th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Dallas Cowboys select Dylan Thieneman, safety, Oregon.
Brew, let's take a look at the Cowboys' defensive numbers last year. They're not good. And oftentimes, the reason you were trotting out a huge F and putting it on the table and singing songs about the Cowboys was because of their defense. Do you like them getting stronger at safety?
I do like Thieneman. And look, I love them going defense. Everyone, when you think of Thieneman, 4.3 speed, 40-plus inch vertical. A lot of people thinking Cooper DeJean. Obviously, if they get DeJean, that'd be great. And some of it's because he's a white athletic safety and all that. But you know who else I'm thinking? Charlie Waters. Remember him? It's safety for the Cowboys, also white, but was very good. 3-time Pro Bowler, won 2 Super Bowls with him. Charlie Waters was a very good player.
Anybody else?
No, but if he can be like Cooper DeJean, then this is a home run. I mean, if you get that type of player.
Listen, some people think he's better than Caleb Downs. I think those people are wrong. This is a very odd draft in this regard. There's going to be 3 safeties, I think, taken in the top 20. Like Downs, Heineman, and we're going to talk about McNeil Warren later on, who I think has a chance to go top 20. We'll see. But if you're Dallas, I think they would have loved if Delane's available, and I could see them moving up to try to draft one of the impact pass rushers. But I think this guy is a really solid pick.
This guy's a really good player. He flows through traffic. He finds spaces. He hits with there's force behind his contact. He's got leadership. He's got communication. You can play him in a lot of different spots. This is a really solid, productive player who's going to add extreme value to whoever he goes to.
I really just can feel from Coach how much he enjoyed watching these college guys tape. And like kind of missed the draft room a bit. Like I can feel
a little different when you don't have a pick.
Yeah.
The Rams pick is in. We're going to the voice of the World Cup on Fox. Stu Holden has it.
Wow. All right, Stu Holden here. With the 13th pick in Nick Wright's Mock Draft 4.0, the Los Angeles Rams, home of the United States' opening match of the World Cup, select Makai Lemon, wide receiver, USC. Fight on. Go Rams.
Excellent.
Thank you, Stu. Notable Trojans in the NFL: Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Pittman, Jordan Addison, and add Makai Lemon.
That works.
Here's Greg.
Makai Lemon, one of the most sure-handed guys in all of this draft. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Carnell Tate when it comes to being ready to play. When you watched him at USC, all you saw was him making play after play after play. Again, predominantly in the slot, has the ability to move outside, but understands where his quarterback needs him to be, and he's going to be consistent. Catches the ball away from his body, catches the ball in traffic, a physical guy that understands how he needs to operate in the slot. Love this young man.
Puka, Devontae, and Lemon is quite an offense.
Yeah, so a lot of reasons I like this pick. I do think the Rams are truly one of the only teams where they're in a luxury pick situation. I don't look at them as having one overwhelming need. So they can go strength on strength. Also, Devontae, not long for the league. That sounded bad, but I mean, Devontae's an older player.
Sure.
You don't expect him to be around all that much longer. All of a sudden, there are some questions about Puka. Meanwhile, his comp is Amon-Ra St. Brown. And as far as Puka is a true outside receiver, Devontae's a true outside receiver. You stay home. I also could see them trading back like they did last year.
This dude made some great contested catches. A little known fact, he played defense a little bit his freshman year, returned kicks, returned punts. He's done a lot of different things. He reminds me a lot of a guy who had Lavernius Coles.
Oh.
Tough, physical, great hands. Much plays bigger than his size. That's when I was watching him, I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Lavernius.
If the Chiefs were to trade back, I think this would be their pick. Like if Dallas trades from 12-9 with Kansas City, that's where I think they could take him.
Baltimore's pick is in. We have another special celebrity.
Yeah, you guessed it. It's that man Blade. And with the 14th pick in Nick Wright's Mock Draft 4.0, the Baltimore Ravens select Vanga Ioane, guard, Penn State. And while Jackson Blade is out there protecting civilians, Ioane will be out there protecting Lamar Jackson.
You know what?
The stars are fantastic.
Thank you to our guest bookers who have really gone all out and reached out to Hollywood to get some real celebrities here. Highest sack percentage. Gino, the Raiders weren't good. 9. J.J. McCarthy, he got sacked a bunch. Herbert, all we talked about was the offensive line.
That's actually a 10 under McCarthy's name.
9 with 10. And then Lamar, who is usually pretty elusive, but this is got sacked almost 11% of the time, Brew. Do you like this, getting more protection for Lamar?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that's what they need. They don't have a ton of needs elsewhere. They have some, but interior line might be or offensive line might be their biggest need. this guy is great, and I can't wait to see Derrick Henry.
Boom.
run
Oh,
the-
that, I like that
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
a lot.
Pancake
I like that a lot, Coach.
Imagine Derrick Henry behind
yeah.
that. So and Lamar getting protection. So yeah, this will be a great pick for them.
Yeah, this is a solid Baltimore Ravens pick because he's going to come in and play a lot of snaps right away and be really good, be physical inside. It'll help Derrick Henry. It'll help Lamar to some degree because it'll keep the pocket firm and if Lamar wants to escape outside, that's fine. Started a ton of games. It's going to be interesting to see, what type of scheme they're going to stay consistent with because he's more of a physical gap trap type player as opposed to a zone runner. So it should lend itself to what Derrick Henry does.
The Ravens obviously historically maybe the best drafting team in the NFL. Their interior offensive linemen, when they've gone round one, Marshall Yanda, I don't think he made the Hall of Fame this year, but was a finalist on the very short list. More recently, Tyler Lindenbaum, the center, just blew out of the water the center market as far as from 18 million, 27 million. People always say like the non-glamour positions that go in round one, those are safe. That is not always true. Sometimes those guys bust as well. When the Ravens take a non-glamour position early, that has worked out. Kyle Hamilton was a first-round pick, a non-glamour position. He's the best in the league. Linderbaum was the best center. Yanda years ago, it all works.
Baker and the Bucks are on the board next. First things first, right here on FS1. 6-4, that series is tied at 1, and that's weird and wonderful from the National Pastimes. Bucks pick is in.
With the 15th pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon.
Well, this is a whole Ducks-themed segment. This is the 9th Duck going in the first round since 2020. My guy Christian Gonzalez on there, Justin Herbert, obviously, Penei Sewell. Coach, do you like this pick for Baker and the Bucks?
Well, my last year in New York, we traded back into the first round and picked Dustin Keller, who had a great combine, could stretch the field, and we saw him for what he was. He was going to be a guy that was essentially a wide receiver, played the tight end spot, but was essentially a wide receiver. We weren't going to get as much out of him in the running game. We hoped we'd get something out of him, and this is very similar with Sadiq. He plays that tight end position, but he's just a giant, fast wide receiver. And he's going to be a liability in the running game. Will he be a weapon for Baker? Yeah, he will help Baker. It just won't help him in the whole game.
See, I don't know how much time we have because I want to ask Coach a question about this real quick. Listen, the Bucks went from having an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver to Emeka Egbuka in question marks. Chris Godwin, sadly, last year looked like at his age, post those injuries, he might not be the same guy. KW, you got your tissues around? I don't want to make you sad. Mike Evans doesn't play for them anymore. And Egbuka, I still think Egbuka is going to be awesome, but what happened to him over the second half of the season is one of the biggest mysteries of last year's
rookie
season.
wall or
it just didn't make.
You hope that's what.
It was bizarre. You know what I mean? His early season to late season. The question I have. This is why I think they could go weapon. Here's the question I have, Coach. When you hear about, he's basically just a wide receiver. Wide receivers make more. Why would he just not just say, hey, I just want to play wide receiver? Like, if you're saying you're going to treat him like a wide receiver, why does the player himself not essentially be like, I'm going to play wide receiver? What's the benefit of the tight end that's actually just another receiver?
Yeah, maybe he did say that, and the coaches said, no, you're going to play tight end, and that's where they played him. And still, outside at wide receiver, there's a lot of nuances, and you got to be able to get off consistent press coverage. One of the other things that he struggles with is getting knocked around and getting rerouted by linebackers or safeties who are down, and that's something he's going to have to overcome as well. So it's not a clean transition to just pop out to the outside and be able to run the whole range of the route tree.
He'd be Baker's best tight end since David Njoku back when he was in Cleveland. And I also wonder if Sadiq's draft stock, which some people have been falling, is hurt by Kyle Pitts' career. Kyle Pitts was the last.
Kyle Pitts' college tape was
Everybody
so
thought
impressive.
I agree, but that's
be the number one
that's kind of my point. Is Kyle Pitts was another one of those receivers playing tight end, had better college tape than Sadiq. Because of that, went top 5 and now has been a little disappointing.
Yeah. Okay, the Jets, their second pick of the first round is in.
With the 16th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the New York Jets select Jermod McCoy, cornerback, Tennessee.
Well, look, you get one interception, you've already outdone the entire Jets secondary last year. The issue here, Brew, is he missed the entire 2025 season with a torn ACL. And then, nice little fun fact, it went to the same high school as Mahomes. Do you like this for the Jets?
Look, I love going defense. I love going defensive backfield. They had the worst, in addition to no interceptions, I mean, they were second to last in points allowed. They gave up the most touchdown passes. So they need tons of help there. I want to ask Coach this. The fact that he was out all last year with injury, how much of a risk does that put on the front office and coaching staff? Just in terms of if he doesn't pop and become a great player, does ownership look at you like, this dude was hurt in college and you're still drafting him? You know, anything like that?
Well, you have extensive medical meetings prior to the draft, and you go through and you try to project out whether or not that injury is something that's going to come back. And there are serious concerns that this could carry over deep into next season. And so now if you're the New York Jets, you're taking a little bit of a risk with Arvell in terms of position change and figuring out where he is. And now you're going to take another player that could potentially miss time because of injury. You're really relying on your doctors to give you guidance there because you're not a doctor. But ownership could easily look at you and say, there were safer guys out there. There were more consistent guys out there. Why did you go here? But to Kevin's point, when you have 0 interceptions for the first time in NFL history, you're looking for help in the secondary.
So, I mean, you can just tell from these highlights. These are insane highlights from the 24 season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think most people felt like if it were Madden and injuries are turned off, he's the top corner in this draft. There is now some belief that he could slip all the way out of round 1 because of the injury concerns. What's bizarre to me is he tore this ACL January of 25. So he tore it, what is that, 16 months ago. And so he did some practicing this year. The fact that there is concern, which I've read as well, that it could linger, is people worrying, all right, is this just going to be a problem for him consistently? If
that's
it's not,
risky for it. Like Aaron Glenn, is he already on the hot seat, a little bit?
100%. The flip side is it's not an injury he suffered last football season. He will be almost 2 years removed from it when this football season starts, and the talent is massive. The Jets, this is the pick they got for Sauce Gardner.
The Cowboys going defense again. They got another pick in the first round. That's next on First Things First. Live from New York, Mock Draft 4.0. Coach Mangini, Nick Wright, Kevin Wildes, Chris Broussard. The Lions already on the clock.
Wow.
Get right to it.
With the 17th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Detroit Lions select Spencer Fano, tackle, Utah.
Here's a list of the Lions' first-round picks since Dan Campbell became a head coach. He's been doing a great job drafting. He likes to get in the trenches, too.
Yes.
Wow.
However, that 23 draft, the Lions were initially criticized and then praised because they took non-premium positions and they ended up being excellent players. They took a safety, Brian Branch. They took Jack Campbell. We just saw him linebacker. Took a running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. All those guys, and Laporta was another one of those picks, non-premium position, really good players. The tax, though, on that, even though you hit on those, is all of a sudden they have major needs, not only on the defensive line, other than Hutchinson, but the offensive line other than Sewell. And one thing I feel like we know about Jared Goff is he is one quarterback when protected, one quarterback when not. Now, you can say that about most quarterbacks, but the splits with Goff are drastic. He is as good as any quarterback in the league when protected, and then really struggles when he isn't. They're talking, Coach, about right now, their plan is to kick Sewell out to left tackle. He's the best right tackle in the NFL. In theory, you would like to be able to keep him there Either way, they need help on the offensive line. It doesn't, address their pass rusher need, but I think they have to go offensive line here.
Yeah, they need a tackle. This just doesn't totally feel like a Lions type of pick because he's not a. When you think of Sewell, you think of a mean, vicious road grader, which he is, and he's so good at right tackle. So now they're drafting another right tackle who is known more for.
Not a lot of left tackles in the draft.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's hard, and it's hard to find that. That's a premium position. And now you're thinking, okay, are you going to be able to push Sewell over? And if that doesn't work, is he going to now be able to go over and play left tackle because they both played right tackle? It's just not as consistent a mentality pick as you think with Detroit.
Okay. We're headed to Minnesota, pick number 18.
With the 18th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Minnesota Vikings select Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety, Toledo.
So safety out of Toledo, which I always like with a smaller school, gets a little bit of love. Teammates with Quinyon Mitchell, 9 career forced fumbles, 3rd team All-American coach, more defense with Ryan Flores' squad.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about Minnesota taking a safety, and every mock draft it just becomes different safeties.
I started them.
Yeah. You were the leader?
They saw my mock draft 1.0.
The interesting thing about this player is he's 6'4", so you love the height, but he's only 201, so you don't love the weight. And they're showing some of his bigger hits here, but it's not like he hit like that on a consistent basis. There's a little bit too many drag down type tackles. With a guy that big, you should be rangy, and he does show some range in half the field. What you do like is his ability to force fumbles. That's been a real strength of his.
Is that related to not hitting?
Not necessarily. It's understanding where the ball is and actually paying attention to it and really trying to work it out. Some guys are better at it.
God,
some guys.
That was a good hit, Coach.
Yeah, you're gonna see plenty of highlights. And then the other question is, when you play at a lower level of competition, how is that going to translate up? But it's the weight with the 6'4" that is
to
tough.
that point, when guys are coming from like a mid-major or something like that, how much does Quinyon, Mitchell's success, how much has he benefited from that? And guys saying, hey, Mitchell's, same school.
You can find guys from all over, and that's one of the things you often talk about players when they're asking about the draft. They're gonna find you if you're good enough. It's having success from similar type schools. It does help. Take a little bit of the stigma off.
I do think the stigma though has become greater with the ease of the transfer portal. Yeah. Because I think nowadays, back in the day, it's like, oh, he started at Toledo, he's going to finish there usually. Now it's like, why didn't you get paid a bunch of money to go elsewhere? He, I think, will be the exception. Also, they had Harrison Smith as their safety for 14 years. It's now Josh Metellus and Jay Ward back there. They need a safety. This is a good safety draft. I think it's where they go.
Carolina Panthers pick is in, number 19.
With the 19th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Carolina Panthers select Keldrick Falk, edge, Auburn.
One of my adopted teams, so I like the
You
Hornets.
like all the teams in the
I like Drake May, I like Hornets, I like, Michael Jordan, North Carolina. Couldn't get to the quarterback. That was the issue for the Panthers last year. Drafted Tet, so they had, good recent draft. Last time we saw the Panthers in action, they gave Stafford all he could handle, 34-31 loss, but they only sacked him once. So maybe just, hey, work on pressuring the quarterback. We can flip a lot of these close games, and we can help Bryce out in the process.
Coach, they've spent 4 straight first-round picks on the offensive side of the ball, back-to-back on wide receiver, which I know you love, Jeff.
I do.
Yeah, you love that.
More wide receivers.
Yet the best first-round picks on their roster are the last 2 defensive players they took in first round. Derek Brown, their 2020 first-round pick, and J.C. Horn, who aside from injuries, an excellent corner, their 2021 first-round pick. I understand they paid Jalen Phillips 200 cents on the dollar to come try to help their pass rush. One man is not enough, and Jalen Phillips, as good as he is, he's going to need some help. So I think they are truly best edge available or best D lineman available rather than best player available, and that's why they go Keldrick Falk.
Yeah, but he only had the 2 sacks last year. He had a better season the year before in terms of pressuring the passer. What he's known for is affecting guys at the point of attack. He's very good at the point of attack, strong there. He's supposed to be a great kid. He's a kid who ended up giving some of his NIL money to another player to help him stay at the school. So there's good character. There's a lot of things to like about him in the running game. He had a down season rushing the passer last year and a little bit better the year before.
I didn't know the story about him giving the money to a friend.
Well, yeah, there was another player to help him stay.
Oh, that's pretty. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Dallas's pick is in. We're going to hear from a real-life Cowboy.
Howdy. It's Cowboy Brew. Don't mind the belly. I ain't ashamed of it. That's good eating. That's all that is. And with the 20th pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Dallas Cowboys of Jerry Jones select C.J. Allen, linebacker, Georgia. CJ gonna do some good eating down there in Texas. Believe you me.
This is not an audition.
That was great.
You're stealing the
Bro,
show.
your range is unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. First team All-American out of Georgia.
Google me.
Yeah.
Google him.
Check my
I didn't realize you were
IMDb
this good. You've got a new height. Missed one game his whole college career. Do you like this pick for your Cowboys, bro?
Yeah, you know, you guys probably saw Stephen Jones saying they're not going to continue to negotiate with George Pickens long term for a contract. People think maybe they'll go receiver there. Whether they are going to have George Pickens this year or not, I still think they should go defense heavy on this draft because their offense, I think, will still be great without Pickens. And so this is a fine pick. You know, he was one of those guys that was kind of, you know, below the Sonny Styles, like that group. But outside of that group, he was maybe the top one. So, you know, I like it. They're giving Christian Parker, give him a lot to work with and see what they can make of that defense. They've obviously brought in some guys for the interior of the defense. So, you know, you just got to draft some of these guys and see who works out for you.
And when you get a Georgia defensive player, you know what you're getting. You're getting someone who's extremely well coached. They've been asked to do multiple things. They're ready for a pro system. It's very similar to Alabama for a lot of years. So you couple it now with Dallas's first pick. You've got two guys that aren't necessarily going to pop to the highest level, but they're going to contribute right away. They're going to be solid, and this should improve the defense significantly with those two players, according to Nick's mock draft. I really like these two picks by Dallas.
I thought you would like it. I will say, this is one of the only mock drafts you're going to see where this guy goes in the first round. He is considered for most a second-round pick. You're exactly right, Brew. He is the top true off-ball linebacker other than the Ohio State kids who are more hybrid, do-it-all players. You saw the Cowboys last year. They thought Logan Wilson, who they traded a 7th-round pick for, who couldn't play for the Bengals, was going to transform the defense because they so badly needed a signal caller in the middle of the defense. So I think they might reach a bit for a position of need and the best off-ball linebacker available.
Okay, the real draft tonight is in Pittsburgh. We're headed to Pittsburgh.
With the 21st overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle, Georgia.
Siciliano, I promise you we will get our audience clapping sound drop there for you. Steelers offense last year, 22nd in pass, 26 in rushing yards per game. Coach, do you like this pick for Mike McCarthy's offense, and we assume Aaron Rodgers?
I really like this pick.
Ooh.
I think he's got a chance to be the best tackle in the draft. He's got long arms. He's extremely athletic. Look, I'm not the long arm.
I love it. No, I am. I'm a trade
I'm not trying
snob.
to be. I'm not trying to be the ambassador of long arms, but in terms of his measurables, they're good. In terms of his athleticism, it's outstanding. In terms of his development It's been consistent, and you saw a significant amount of growth over time. And he's only going to be 22 years old coming into the summer. So you've got a young, emerging player with a lot of really good tape and a lot of progress.
I like that a lot.
I like young athletes rather than old smart guys who are
But he's a young athlete who's shown growth and production
here's the
at a high level.
I love a spot shadow. That's what I draft. Like, who are we looking at? Just an off the screen in 2 seconds.
Listen. This would be the third tackle they've taken in round one in the last 4 years. You don't love that, but Broderick Jones wasn't really working out, and now he might need neck surgery. So I think they're going to go tackle. Brew, I'm telling you what I want them to do. I want to see Roger Goodell go to the podium in Pittsburgh, the crowd roaring, and then announce Ty Simpson, Alabama.
Oh, that would be.
I don't think you're going
Is
to.
that just because
nuts.
Aaron Rodgers
Yes,
is the quarterback?
exactly. Just to say, Aaron's, I'm sure, going to be, drinking chamomile tea, watching the draft with his wife, being like, who's going to be protecting me next year? And then find out it's Ty Simpson. I would love to see it. I don't think it's going to
If they choose his name, he'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
He'll go down well.
I like the idea of Aaron Rodgers coming out to make the pick. Speaking of celebrity guests, Chargers pick is in. Voice of the World Cup on Fox. Got the World Cup music. Stu Holden's back.
And with the 22nd pick in the Nick Wright Mock Draft 4.0, the Los Angeles Chargers, who play their football right here at SoFi Stadium, which will be the host of 2 of the United States' World Cup matches and hopefully wins in those matches, they select Omar Cooper, wide receiver, Indiana, from the national champions.
I love this pick. Here's a look at the Chargers' first-round picks. After Herbert's rookie season, some great picks there.
One great pick.
Joe Alt, I like.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the one great pick.
Like
Slater.
I like
Sorry.
Slater a lot, too.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
And I like Cooper. All right, here's
I like
Greg.
Hampton, too.
Me too.
Okay. My bad.
Omar Cooper Jr., probably the most physical, imposing, compact receiver in this draft. He's going to give it to you like you don't want once he gets the ball in his hands. He refuses to go down. Every coach loves a guy that once he gets the ball in his hands, he tries to make house call. He's awesome in the slot, understands how to read zones. He understands how to beat man-to-man coverage. And oh, by the way, I know he played predominantly in the slot, but he can definitely move outside as well. Omar Cooper Jr. is going to be a good one.
Good weapon for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, listen, Quentin Johnston is maybe, I was reacting mostly, I guess, to the Zion Johnson and Quentin Johnston parts of that graphic. Quentin Johnston didn't work, hasn't worked, and I don't think it's going, I don't think it means he's not going to be on the team, of course, but he's not going to be your number one receiver. What Greg said at the end, though, has to be true, and I think it is true, that this guy does not have to play just in the slot. Now, I do think the Deebo Samuels comps are correct, where they can use him out of the backfield, use him a bunch of different ways.
That.
But they're going to need Ladd McConkey is their slot receiver, and that's the only place Ladd can play. You got to be able to use this player elsewhere. But I think Herbert needs another weapon.
Yeah, he had a high catch rate, only one drop, but when the head coach is calling you out about your availability and effort, don't love that part about it.
They called everybody out. Isn't that like his thing?
I don't know. I think he got maybe a little bit more attention than others did, and he hasn't had a lot of time he didn't have a lot of time as the primary receiver in that system. So we'll see.
Oh, Coach doesn't like the pick.
Well, you know what? That's fine. Can't please everybody.
Headed to Philadelphia.
Coach gonna love this one.
Oh yeah.
With the 23rd overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Philadelphia Eagles select Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, Alabama.
6'7", 352, long arms, big hands. Now look at the bottom line there, Bruce. 7 active NFL players are 6'7", over 350. One of them, his future teammate, Jordan Mailata, 6'8", 365. So the line in Philadelphia is gigantic. Do you love it?
I do love it. And he runs like, a 5'2", 40, got 32-inch vertical. Like, we've seen him run the football, too. Like,
and catch the football. Yeah.
Their offensive line took a step back last year. this is, to me, this would be a great pick.
Okay, yeah.
To
Thought
say,
the tush push wasn't
I was thinking, are they going to go from the tush push to the Proctor push when you get down near the goal line? Or
Did you just invent that, bro?
Wow. I mean, it's on the board.
I love this.
It's on the board, and I think they obviously have to reestablish their run game. Saquon's history has been kind of off year, great year, off year, great year. So they probably thinking Saquon's due for a fantastic season, and this guy will help him get there.
See, I'm thinking this is going to be the Lions pick. This is more in line with what I was thinking. The danger with him is, the first week of the season, he was a little bit too heavy. He gave up 5 pressures. You're going to have to control his weight, but he started 3 years in the SEC as a left tackle. He's physical. He shows a lot of athleticism. This made sense to me in Detroit, and I think whoever gets him has a chance to have a really good player. They're just going to have to make sure he doesn't get too big.
So listen, the Eagles have 5 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders on their defense. They have drafted defense. They haven't had to worry about right tackle in damn near 15 years because of future Hall of Famer Lane Johnson. It would be, Mailata is there at left tackle. Lane is there currently at right tackle, but you need to start grooming his replacement. And the Eagles have shown you they are fine with having a giant guard for a year. Mekhi Becton ended up played guard for them for a year, who had previously been a tackle. So I could see them getting him on the field if they were to take him as a rookie, as a guard or their swing tackle, and then hoping he can end up ultimately replacing Lane Johnson.
All right, pick number 24, the Cleveland Browns.
With the 24th pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Cleveland Browns select Blake Miller, tackle, Clemson.
So look at the pressure percentage allowed. The Browns were at 46%, worst by any team in the last 8 seasons. The rest of the NFL is at 33%. Coach, is that all a Browns offensive line issue, or is that a little bit of having 2 rookie quarterbacks start all year?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of things. It's the line, it's the quarterbacks, it's the playing from behind. There's a lot of things that can contribute to this. With this pick, the reason the fans will love it is he's a hometown boy. He's from Strongsville, Ohio, now coached by Jason Trusnick, one of my former players, so right down the street from the facility.
Nice.
So they'll love that aspect of it. He started 54 games for Clemson, which is, I think, the most of any Clemson player in terms of total snaps. Where I struggle with him is he's often gets too high and has some trouble with transition.
Saw that too.
And reacting to movement. That's where I'm concerned. I think they'll love it because of he's a local boy, but there could be some growing pains.
They need help everywhere on offense. Every single spot on offense, they need some help. I have them obviously taking a wide receiver early, and then with their extra second or extra first round pick, this is from the trade with Jacksonville, going tackle. They signed 3 offensive linemen this offseason. They still need more help. DeJuan Jones is right now penciled in as their starting left tackle. He played 3 games last year. So I think they could go offensive lineman at 6. If they don't go offensive lineman at 6, I would be stunned if they don't go offensive lineman at 24. And despite the fact that Coach and I both saw it gets a little high, I still think
you saw it.
I still think it's good value.
That can be a
That's
problem.
what coaching is for.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what Coach.
All right, the Bears are on the clock. Are they going to go defense? That's next on First Things First, right here on FS1. Oh, the Iceman.
Hey there. And with the 25th pick in Nick Wright's Mock Draft 4.0, the Chicago Bears select Akeem Mesidor, edge rusher out of the U. Bear down, but if you want to see a real mock draft, someone who doesn't need 4 tries at it, tune into the OT today at 5:01.
That's not inspired. 5:01.
That's fire.
But listen, I'll ignore that for a moment. I really hope we didn't blow our budget for the year with what we had to pay for our celebrity pickers to make this show feel as big.
We have
as
more
it
coming
should.
up.
I have no idea what Jackson Blade, Bruto, Cowboy Brew,
That was just
and
big.
Danny Parkins cost us.
Big money.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys
All
are
right,
expensive.
Bears go deep. Bears defense was not good last year. Why do you have?
Well, listen, those are his stats in the playoff. 5.5 sacks. We were talking about Keldrick Falk, you said had 2 sacks all last season. Super productive player. And, played a long time, so I have 2 small concerns. I think the Bears have to improve the pass rush. Yeah. I think they can't just rely on turnovers like they did last year. Ruben Bain Jr. was the star pass rusher for Miami, so was Mesidor not getting as much attention. That's one concern. Yeah. The other concern is he's 25. So how much growth is there? 25 feels really old for a first-round pick. Now, I still think the talent and the tape warrant a first-round pick. How big are those 2 concerns, Coach?
It's a concern. He'll get a second contract at 30. Yeah. He's played 6 years of college football. He's had foot surgeries at 2 different places, both at West Virginia and Miami. Those are all real concerns. And then you sit there and you wonder, okay, is he as productive as he is because he's a grown man playing against a lot younger kids, or is there still some more upside? And it's just hard to bet on the upside at 25 as opposed to, 22 and 3 years of football. It's worth a long discussion in the room because the production is undeniable.
Yeah, the age scares me because we see it all the time in college basketball with these older kids who aren't good enough to play in the NBA, but they're crushing these 18 and 19-year-olds in college. So I don't think there'll be much upside. The question is he good enough now?
On bright side, any of his draft mates need to rent a car. He can do it without the extra fee.
Bills pick is in at 26.
With the 26th pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Buffalo Bills select Caden McDonald, defensive tackle, Ohio State.
Coach, I was a broken record last year. I said the Bills cannot stop the run. Here are their stats: 136 yards a game, averaging 5.1 yards per rush, some big rushes, and 24 touchdowns on the ground for their opponents. I know you're a little bit worried about the state of that defense now that McDermott is gone. Do you like Caden McDonald at 26?
Oh, yeah, I love Caden.
Oh, I just...
This guy...
It's just directly proportional to how much guys weigh.
Yeah, he would be like the perfect 34 nose tackle, 2-gapper, big space eater.
Vince Wilfork, right?
You just can't deny his production in the running game. And then he shows up in big games. Against Miami, he had 9 tackles. Against Indiana, he had 5 tackles. This is from a big man. To open the season against Texas, he had 7 tackles. And he eats up a ton of space. And even though sometimes he gets high or he guesses a little bit on the double teams, because he's got so much natural strength and girth, he can usually overcome that. And it's going to open it up for linebackers to make plays and flow. Now, you're not getting a lot in pass rush, but he will push the pocket.
So I know there's a lot of people that have projected, and I think even one of my mock drafts, the Bills going receiver here. I just think you have to keep in mind, is there any other team in the draft that you think is going to spend their first and second round pick on wide receivers? Because that's what the Bills would be doing. They already spent their second round pick on DJ Moore.
Yep.
So Good
point.
And so I think they used their premium pick on receiver already. And you didn't even mention the one thing you didn't mention, Coach, him next to Ed Oliver. All of a sudden, that is
a lot of darkness.
I know those teams didn't.
Not a lot of space to run.
Right, those teams didn't do great. But the last team with 2 D tackles that were both standouts were the Commanders teams. You had Jonathan Allen and, gosh darn it, I forget the other D tackle. He's still there. There forever. And the one good thing about their team for years was you couldn't run on them. And so that would be the idea.
All right, pick number 27, the San Francisco 49ers.
With the 27th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the San Francisco 49ers select Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, Utah.
All right, so Trent Williams signed a 2-year deal for, I think, was it 2 years, $50 million?
Yeah, but he's 38 years old.
And they have some good additions. Dre Greenlaw, of course, back. Brew, what do you think about Lomu to 49ers?
Trent Williams, as you said, Nick, in July will be 38.
Yeah.
This is an injury-prone team, to say the least. So whether it's him, you got McKivitz on the other side. Like, it's just adding depth. You obviously are going to start those two guys, but if somebody gets hurt, he should be depth. And even just going forward for when Trent Williams eventually does leave the team, you know, I don't mind this at all just because they've been so injury prone that this will be good depth on that O-line.
Yeah, this seems like a great pick for the 49ers. This guy pulls more than anybody that I watched on tape. I mean, it seemed like every other play he's pulling for, especially for a tackle. You could also move him into guard, and with that stretch running game and the hard sell play action that they want to use, where there's so much movement, he fits in extremely well with all of those things that they want to do. I love that they showed the picture of him catching the ball off the deflection, but that's a pretty good look at it, his athleticism, and he's a good fit in San Francisco.
Yeah, and I think the thing you mentioned about him potentially being able as a rookie to play guard is important. Yeah. Because like you said, I think they hope McKivitz will be the right tackle. Trent obviously is their left tackle, but they need help throughout the offensive line. Like that has been an issue. That is a credit, by the way, to your guy Brock Purdy, that last year the offensive line did have significant issues, and when he did play, he was able to work through it. I could see them maybe going receiver. I could see them maybe going pass rusher, but they took a pass rusher in the first round last year and a receiver in the first round the year before. So I think offensive line is probably the direction they go.
All right, let's see what's going on with CJ and the Texans at 28.
With the 28th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Houston Texans select Max Ihanachor, offensive tackle, Arizona State.
Look, before Drake May threw 3 touchdowns on this defense, they were lauded as one of the best defenses of all time. Total yards, they were first. Points, they were second. At the same time, offensive line got banged up, and it wasn't great to start the year, and CJ's play deteriorated. It feels like this is a pick, Nick, that has CJ Stroud implications as well.
Yeah, and here's the other thing listen, I think the Texans have needed to upgrade the offensive line since basically I was working in Houston. Like they have the last standout left tackle they had was Dwayne Brown. They have had issues, there. And CJ, one of the things that was so impressive about his rookie year was he did it despite the offensive line. Then they trade away Tunsil. Then this year they trade away a different tackle. Like they have had just this revolving door. So I think they've got to go offensive line. I also think, Coach, all of a sudden you look at the Texans' offense as a whole. I know they just got David Montgomery, but you have questions at running back. Outside of Nico, you have questions at wide receiver. There are growing, some questions about CJ's future. The offense, I wouldn't be shocked, Coach, if their entire draft, save maybe one pick, is offensive players.
Defense seems pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great young defense. They need offensive help everywhere.
What's so interesting about him is he moved from Nigeria in high school and then didn't really play football until he enrolled in JUCO. So he hasn't been playing football for that long, and for the amount of progress that he's made with such not just exposure to actually playing football, but exposure to the game in general is pretty amazing. He's in a 2-point stance almost all of the time, so he has a tendency to get high. But from a physical standpoint, tons of tools, good arm length, all the things you're looking for that way. I don't love how high he plays, but this is a guy
not as high as Blake Miller, though.
Not as high as Blake Miller, but this is a guy who hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, that was relative to speak to huge
relative
upside.
to other players. So he should have a significant ceiling just based on experience.
All right, Patriots, Seahawks, and Chiefs all on the board. That's next when First Things First Mock Draft 4.0 continues.
The official one.
It's like a spoiler for the real draft.
All right, with the 29th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, his Kansas City Chiefs select Denzel Boston, wide receiver, Washington.
Okay, these are the last 2 years for Denzel Boston. 1,715 yards, that's 7th best of the Power 4 conferences. 88 receptions for first down and 20 touchdowns, which is tied for 3rd. Mahomes gets another weapon.
So,
oh, sorry, we got to go to Greg first, our wide receiver expert.
Yes,
I apologize.
Please.
All right, we got Denzel Boston. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not as high on this guy as everyone else, but what I believe he did at Washington, being moved around from outside to inside, playing all the position, running kind of gadget plays, it shows that he has the capability of doing those things, not just being isolated as a big X receiver, which I believe that's what he's going to predominantly be. He can high point the ball. He needs to get better at getting defenders off of him, get pressed more than a lot of these guys we're going to mention, but can he make plays? Of course. Did he make plays? Of course. And I believe he'll continue to do that.
Tepid.
Listen, Greg told me he wasn't a big fan of this player. The Chiefs haven't had just a big 6'4" go-get-it receiver really in Mahomes' career. Now, Travis Kelce has filled that role, obviously, for them.
But like 50-50 balls.
50-50 ball, red zone target. Yeah. Like that's so many of Mahomes' touchdown passes are thrown short of, they're not thrown into the end zone. They're thrown short of the end zone, then guys run into the end zone because he hasn't had a reliable big target other than Kelce. If the Chiefs go into this draft with 3 obvious needs and 2 obvious needs, pass rusher and corner, and 2 maybe needs in wide receiver and offensive lineman, I think they are going to address 3 of those in their first 4 picks, or in their first 3 picks, the 3 top 40 picks. You really, amongst those positions, go best player available. I like the fit Denzel Boston. I also have potential trade I want to talk to you about, but first, go.
Yeah, look, there's a lot to like about Denzel Boston, especially his production in the red zone and his ability on contested balls. That's hard to do, and to have that sort of safety valve in the red zone is good for any quarterback. I can see why Greg may be a little bit lukewarm on him, because bigger receivers tend to struggle getting off the line of scrimmage, and that's something that they have to get much better at in the league, because you'll get a ton of that. Whatever weakness you have, you'll get a ton of that. I think the other concerns people have is he decided not to run. So when you decide not to run, people just assume that you're going to run slow, and
I hate that.
He didn't really.
And he didn't work.
Yeah.
And you're not alone. There's a lot of people who feel the same way. Of, hey, this is the process, everybody goes through the process. But in fairness to him, there's guys that don't lift, there's guys do a lot of different things to present themselves in the best possible light.
Ruben Bain should have said, you can't measure my arms.
Yeah.
It just feels like a red flag, like I'm not going to run.
Maybe. Or maybe he just knows he's slow, but he doesn't think that it impacts him on the field. Jared Rice ran a 4.5.
Hey, and he's.
I think he ran a 4.6.
Okay, yeah.
Rice.
And he's looking at it as judge me off my tape, not off of my time.
Yeah, and there are guys that are faster on the field. Yep. I don't know if that's
a lot of guys like that.
Yeah, do you want the Chiefs to go with a weapon?
Yeah, look, if this was the Chiefs draft, Bain and now Boston, I think you walk away from here feeling good.
So here's what would make me feel better. The reports this morning that the Jags are potentially willing to trade Brian Thomas Jr. for a late first-round pick.
Deal.
I would trade the 29th pick for Brian Thomas Jr. I would try to get like a 5th-round back as well, but whatever. Normally...
Is that just straight 29 for Brian Thomas Jr.?
If I'm the Chiefs, I would like a little bit more than... I would like 29... I would like a late pick back. But yes, I think that's what they're talking about. Normally, I don't like trading away first-round picks for players because the salary differences. Brian Thomas Jr., though, still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. You're not trading for him to then have to pay him. I thought as a rookie, he looked awesome. Yep. And then, for some reason or another, last year was not as good for him. But that he would be the Chiefs' #1 receiver immediately.
The problem for picks for players during the draft is you got to get a physical on him to make sure he's healthy before you make that trade. So if that's going to happen, they got to get a physical on him prior to tonight.
Just take their word for it.
Could you? Yeah, okay.
Usually.
That'd be fantastic.
All right, Dolphins are rebuilding. Pick number 30.
With the 30th overall pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, the Miami Dolphins select Casey Concepcion, wide receiver, Texas A&M.
So look at the bottom line here. In his college career at Texas Tech, all-purpose, 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. I like that combo, NC State and Texas A&M. Here's Greg.
KC Concepcion. Can you tell? I get down with this young man right here. Look, I understand he had drops. I believe when he went to the combine, he alleviated all the questions when he ran the gauntlet, plucking the ball away from his body. He answered those questions. Can he catch? Does he have great catch technique? Of course. Now, when you watch him play and you watch his film, he runs after the catch. He's one of the purest route runners in this draft. He probably separates better than a lot of these guys. And oh yeah, by the way, he can simply fly in this system. He's going to be special. Watch out for this guy making plays immediately.
Now, that's the opposite of what we just heard.
Yeah, he likes it.
From Greg. Brew, what do you think?
Well, look, if Malik Willis is sitting there like Tyreek out the door, Jalen Waddle out the door, he'll love this pick. And, you know, Greg, a lot of what Greg said, I do agree with. I mean, watching some of this guy on TV, his film, like, he's got a lot of skills, and Malik Willis just needs weapons. That's the bottom line. So,
Coach
I'd be
hates
fine.
my draft for the Dolphins.
I don't think he's going to like
hates
this.
I don't hate your draft.
I
Look,
took
when
two small people for a rebuilding team. You don't like it.
there's a place for a good small man in the NFL. It's just not in front of a good big man. That's usually the rule of thumb. But I can see why Greg likes him. The catch and run aspect of what he can do is friendly to any quarterback, and regardless of how good you are, a lot of guys can throw hitches and slants and be really effective at that, and then you got a receiver that can turn that into something more. That's a real positive. He did return, 25 punt returns, had 2 touchdowns. They were dynamic touchdowns, so you see that element of his game. But again, it's the size aspect, and is it really the most important thing to Miami right now? I mean, that's debatable.
All right, the Patriots pick is in. Here's Hall of Fame adjacent legend, Julian Edelman.
With the 31st pick, the six-time Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots select Cassius Howell, edge, Texas A&M. Let's go.
So, Coach, I love this pick. Thank you, Julian. Defense last year was great. We couldn't get to the quarterback, popped a little bit in the playoffs, but is really, maybe we got a little bit better. The scheme got a little bit better. We were healthier, but we were playing unhealthy offensive lines. Sacked Justin Herbert 6 times. Got to CJ, turned one of those into a pick 6. Got to the Broncos, and that sealed the game as well. But we haven't been able to consistently pressure the quarterback. What do you think about the Patriots going Howell at 31?
This is a tough pick because you don't know where he fits in terms of an every down player. He has a lot of pass rush ability, and one of the things that New England did really well last year is they subbed in multiple groups, and they used a lot of different linemen in those groups, and that's where a player like this could fit in. He could fit into different packages. You're just not necessarily getting an every down player due to his size. And here's another guy that there's some concerns about arm length and whether or not that's going to translate into the NFL. His production will translate into the NFL.
Caleb, now, since you guys lost Caleb Chase on, you're only returning one player who had more than 4 sacks. Now, part of that, to your point, is you were rotating a bunch of different guys, but you also don't have a difference-making pass rusher. Milton Williams is, an interior player. So I would think that you guys are going to go defensive line if you intend to trade for A.J. Brown. I also think you guys are having the same Brian Thomas Jr. conversations the Chiefs are, and say, do we want to pivot the whole A.J. Brown process to a younger player this year?
Yeah, I don't know without that handshake deal would work.
I don't know.
Seahawks, the Super Bowl champs, the pick is in. Here's friend of the show and Seahawks fan, Joel McHale.
Oh, hi, everybody. With the 32nd pick in Nick Wright's NFL Mock Draft 4.0, I have 2 predictions. A, I will shave soon, and B, the great Seattle Seahawks select Avion Terrell, cornerback, Clemson.
21 pass breakups over the last 2 seasons. His brother's in the league, 8 career forced fumbles. Coach, the Seahawks defense gets even stronger.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier in terms of forcing fumbles and whether or not it's something that is learned or whether it's just a natural skill that guys have. This guy does a really good job of finding the ball and pressuring the ball all the time, and he's been consistently able to get it out. I think it's a program record for a defensive back. He's played inside, he's played outside. They've used him as a blitzer. He had 3 sacks last year. So there's a lot of versatility, like we've talked about with some other players earlier, that I think fits in really well with what Seattle likes to do defensively. And so I think this is a solid pick for them and helps them continue along sort of the trajectory they've been on.
2 things. One is they lost Reek Woolen in free agency to Philly.
This would be a fill-in for him.
The other one is I don't think they make this pick. I think whoever wants Ty Simpson trades up in order to get the 5th-year option piece of it. So I don't know who that'll be, but I think much like we saw, you saw the Ravens trade up in the final pick of the first round for Lamar. We saw the Vikings years ago trade up the final pick of the first round for Teddy Bridgewater. When a team wants a quarterback and wants to be able to have that 5th-year option, this is the spot.
What's so funny about that, though, is you trade up to get the 5th-year option, and if the quarterback's any good, you never get to the 5th-year option.
Well, even if you extend them, it's worked
it.
into the deal, though, and it gives you more, time
I understand it. You just typically, if the guy hits,
right,
you're
paying him, well before that. But that is the thought process.
Okay, coming up next, we give our draft grades already. We're already post-draft.
Wow.
Pre-draft.
I got to tell you, I think everyone did great.
That's Tomorrow, a special Friday edition of the Bud List and a special edition of Title Pie.
Big redemption for Title Pie.
Why?
Well, because some critics were like, oh, 0.5% too big for the Lakers. I got yelled at repeatedly by old Kevin Wildes. Give the Hornets more.
They deserve
what about, let's see tomorrow. Can't wait.
I've had some bad Title Pies. Afternoon headline sponsored by Kraft Mac and Cheese. It's the best thing ever. Nick, Mock Draft 4.0 is now in the books. Now I know you said every pick was perfect.
Yeah.
But out of all the picks, who won the draft?
I think my answer is going to surprise you. I think the winner of this draft would objectively be the New Orleans Saints.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
I think David Bailey is a player a lot of people think is the best defensive player in the draft. I think people wouldn't be shocked if he is the first player selected after Fernando Mendoza, second player selected. And if it falls like this and they are able to stick and pick at 8 and get David Bailey, that is just such a huge win for the New Orleans Saints. They would be the winners of the draft, all things considered. So I'm going to say New Orleans.
Coach?
Yeah, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. I love your 2 picks. You get 2 rock-solid players, not necessarily home runs, but your doubles, triples. You get 2 players that should be able to contribute right away. Both excellent communicators. Both give you some versatility, some leadership, all things that defense needs. They should both play 1,000 snaps next season. I think that's really quality pickup for Dallas.
Yeah, I would like to go with one of the teams that had 2 picks.
It almost feels like cheating, though.
Savvy.
There's a bunch of them that have 2 picks, but it's not like you're just choosing 2 teams.
Yeah, and I like, if this is it, not surprisingly, I like the way you set the Chiefs up.
That's just how the board
if
fell.
that happens.
It's just
I
how the
won't
board
go with
fell.
the Giants just because of Tyson and the injury concerns. Look, I like Omar Cooper Jr. I like Mike McDaniel as the OC.
Totally agree.
With Herbert, I'm expecting a big year from them. So I like them getting Cooper.
I think Howie Roseman and the Eagles would be over the moon if Caden Proctor's there at 23. Just being able to, they haven't had to worry about either tackle for a decade. Like that's what the benefit, that was the Chargers' idea when they already had Slater and they drafted Alt. Like we talked about that, to not have to worry about that. They took Lane Johnson 15 years ago, and then Mailata, 7th-round pick out of Australia, turns into one of the best left tackles in the league.
What's changed there, though?
Well, their offensive line coach has changed. That is true. Jeff Stoutland, one of the best. But the GM's the same. And
If he was coaching the O-line.
okay, well, he's picking the players. So I'm just saying I think they would be thrilled if it fell that way.
Sneaky winner from Kevin Wildes, Ohio State. 2, 5, 6, 7,
Oh,
and
yeah.
26.
Yeah.
That'll sound good on the recruiting tree.
Yeah.
Great.
A little bit of NIL money. It's like, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4 top 10 picks. Tied in regulation, time for First Things First overtime with Danny Parkins today. Should the Cowboys trade up? They got 2 picks in the first round. We'll find out. Meanwhile, how high is too high to draft a running back? That's going to be a topic on a special draft edition of Frenemies. And finally, do the Chiefs have to get Mahomes a weapon? Yes, according to Cool Stats. Alongside Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wildes, Nick Wright, and Danny Parkins, who is about to unveil all picks of round 1, this time a little more realistic.
What?
That's what I'm talking
We've
about,
got
Wildes.
trades. Parkins is making
yeah.
I want to
So this
fight.
feels like the real thing.
Nick
Some
did the
people
elementary
actually take
version.
out
Yeah,
the
it's like
challenge
basic
of
stuff.
trades.
Yeah, now you've got
Yeah.
trades. There's all sorts of it's more complex.
That's right.
It's like a
Trade
toy
value
store
chart.
version
Yeah.
versus
I
the
actually
real.
put on the GM hat on
Christina,
this guy.
don't advance it. Leave us in looking forward to this. Once they're done guffawing, I would like to say something.
Take your time.
The first edition of Nick Wright's mock draft 3 years ago, first edition of 1.0, there were a bunch of trades. And Kevin Wildes threw a temper tantrum like a child about it's confusing, I don't do double hypotheticals, they make me break out in hives, nobody cares about what you would get in a fake trade for your fake pick. So he threw his weight around and convinced the producers to disallow the trades.
That is the right move.
Well,
That is the right move. But for overtime, now we get to the real stuff.
Yeah. And I don't need 4 swings at it.
Oh,
Just get right to it. You know what I'm saying?
Jaden McDaniels up in here.
All right, mock draft 1.0 and also the final.
Yeah, it's the one and only.
Okay.
It's my one and only mock draft. Here we go. Let's reveal the first 8 picks. I got number 1 right. Fernando Mendoza to the Raiders at 1. I think the Jets, with Aaron Glenn, go with the more surefire pass rusher, David Bailey, over Arvell Reese at 2, which allows for those of us who are not afraid to make trades in our mock drafts. And I have Dallas taking the big swing. Is it a little weird that they could have just, kept Micah Parsons? But Arvell Reese with the comps to Micah Parsons, they give up 12 and 20 to move up. They get a late round pick in return. The 4th pick is not what I would do, but Jeremiah Love, people say, is the best player in the draft. I think it's a little early for Tennessee, but I do think if he is there, they will do it. Sonny Styles to the Giants. You'll see what I have them doing with the 2nd pick to kind of complement it each side of the ball. Francis Maninoa for the Browns. I know they need a left tackle. It's more of a right tackle. There's really only one left tackle I really like in the draft. This would be too high for him. Carnell Tate goes to the Commanders. I think you need more on the offensive side of the ball there. I know they have Debo and Terry McLaurin, but in terms of age and weaponry and his ability to play out of the slot. And then Reuben Bain Jr. goes to the New Orleans Saints at number 8, who could go a bunch of different directions, including they are another team that's going to be trying to outbid the Cowboys and trade up into the top 4.
Okay, so here's the controversial trade. You've got the Cowboys sending 3 and a 4th round pick, and the Cardinals get 12th and 20th overall pick. And what was the idea of the Cowboys moving up?
Listen, I think that the Cowboys they have to go defense, but Jerry has talked about taking a big swing. And this is a big swing. It is a top-heavy draft. And if they think that Arvell Reese is the next Micah Parsons, they can look at it as, we turned our draft capital into getting the next version of Micah Parsons, except much cheaper. And so I thought that this was the type of thing that they would be trying to do. And some of it's going off Jerry's rhetoric, some of it's the defensive side of the ball. And ironically, because of the ceiling, I actually don't know that they would do this for Bailey. I think it's more likely that they would do it for Arvell Reese.
So a couple things. One is, and you had no way of knowing this because it literally just happened, David Bailey just tweeted out or Instagram storied a picture of all 32 team logos that said NFL Draft, let's go, except it was 31 logos, and where the Jets logo was supposed to be was blank. Now, maybe that means he's trying to do a little subterfuge, and that's where he's going to go.
I did not know this.
Maybe it's You guys canceled my top 30 visit, and I'm still upset about it. And now I know I'm not.
Well,
going
I still don't I've read that story,
and so I don't know what that is, but that is just. It literally just happened. That is noteworthy in a weird way. I don't know what.
How
it
are the
means.
Jets losing the draft?
It's a record for them.
But what I will say is, in my opinion, this would be a terrible move for Dallas, because if he is, and I'm not criticizing you. I would love to, but I'm not.
Yeah, I was going to say. Why
Arvell Reese isn't Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was a guy who played linebacker and D-end who was a great pass rusher. Nobody, would I trade 12 and 20 for Micah Parsons? Of course. Would I trade 12 and 20 for an awesome linebacker who can also rush the passer? No way, not when I have as many needs as Dallas. So I just don't think this is the draft to, trade multiple first-round picks to try to move up to go get. It's not Aiden Hutchinson. It's not, in my opinion.
And they have more holes. All right, Brew, do you want to go, or we gotta?
I actually do like what Danny suggested, because as I'm looking at, you added 2 defenders who are going to be, we think, good, but and you're looking at what they've added to that defense just over. Quinnen Williams is star caliber. But for the most part, it's just good defenders. Reese does give you a chance to add, okay, we got some good defenders, but a special guy too. So if they can get that, I actually would like that.
Okay, next up, Parkins.
All right, next grouping here in the draft. If all 3 edge rushers are off the board in the top 8, I think the Chiefs just go to arguably best player in the draft, Caleb Downs.
Love it.
At number 9.
Love it.
And so the Giants, there's been a lot of fun mocks with going for 2 weapons. I think they go with the linebacker and the receiver to kind of take care of both sides of the ball. Miami needs everything, so they go with the versatile offensive lineman. Number 1 corner going to Arizona in the trade down spot. I think they're happy to come away in there. Omar Cooper with Sean McVay just feels fun and a little unfair. Ravens replace freakish tight end Isaiah Likely with freakish tight end Kenyon Sadiq. The 25-year-old edge rusher out of Miami goes to the Bucs. And then this is one that nobody has. I'm not saying that there is extra intel here. I just think it makes a ton of sense based on the left tackle injury for the Bears, the extra draft capital that they got, and the fact that there are no real left tackles in this draft other than Caden Proctor. So I have the Bears taking the 2nd-round pick that they got in the DJ Moore trade and jumping the Lions, jumping the Vikings, and moving up for Caden Proctor.
So then you're sending the Jets the 25th pick overall and the 60th pick. That's your DJ Moore pick.
Correct.
I'm surprised you don't have the Bears going defense, considering you guys were a bad defense.
Yes, listen, if the Bears stay at 25, they will take defense. I think that Caden Proctor, I think that the Lions are interested. I think the Eagles are interested. I think the Texans are interested. I think Caden Proctor will be selected by a team that trades up to get him because of how few left tackles there are in the draft. And
that's not the reason.
What's the reason?
Well,
the trick plays with Ben Johnson.
That's why I think
Ben Johnson's like, oh yeah,
I can wild, great minds. If we can show the trick play,
I knew it.
370 pounds in the wilds, can't stretch for the goal line, big
Ben
fella.
Johnson
split out to the left.
Caleb's gonna be on the field 60% of the time.
You want the hottest prediction that's like 3 years into the future? Who scored a touchdown? Super Bowl 20.
I know.
Bears Patriots blowout.
Yes, we know.
William Refrigerator Perry. Caden Proctor will score a touchdown in a Bears blowout Super Bowl.
It's just not a Super Bowl. It's a blowout.
You're not going to do it early. So Caden Proctor to the Bears for the trick plays and the left tackle.
It's interesting.
Listen, I think
they had a good defense.
Ozzie Trapilio's injury is, 2 teams that made the playoffs last year had left tackles with catastrophic injuries that could take them into next year as well. Because it happened to the Panthers as well. And all of a sudden, it's like, do we have a need there? I think it's certainly on the board, Brew, that the Bears go offensive line. And if the Bears go offense in this draft, it would be offensive line. There would be no other spot. It's not going to be a weapon, especially they took a tight end in the first round last year.
Who's awesome.
But, man, I feel like they've got to improve the defense. And I also feel like essentially trading DJ Moore and your first-round pick for what is high upside but a bit of a project left tackle feels like a lot to me.
Yeah, I do think they should go defense, but this question, how should Caleb feel about it? He's probably like, I got this huge left tackle. yeah, I feel good about it, so I'm sure he would like it, but I do think they need to
It didn't feel like a huge need to me just because of Caleb's sacks really dropped this year.
Caleb's escapability hides issues on the offensive line. I just thought with his injury and with Dahlman's retirement, like a huge strength has become just a big uncertainty. Okay. So, again.
And when did Ozzie get hurt?
He got hurt very late in the year.
Yeah, that's right.
I forget the week.
The Panthers was the playoff game, but the Bears game it was at the very end of the season.
Yeah, the Bears' bigger need is defense. I just think this is a unique situation for them, and I think that they are primed to move up.
All right, Lions on the clock.
Lions on the clock, and this pick, Vanga Ioane just seems like
That's a great pick.
He just seems like a Dan Campbell pick. Like just a mauler guard plug and play. They went from absolute strength of the team to huge question mark on the offensive line. Could be a starter for them for 10 years. Everyone has Dylan Thieneman mocked to the Vikings. It's just the easiest plug and play pick maybe in the draft outside of Mendoza because of the Harrison Smith retirement. The Panthers going with Mekhi Lemon. They hit on Tet McMillan. If you could go back-to-back and hit on weapons for Bryce Young.
Going to go wide receiver 3 straight years in round 1?
Yeah, I think it makes
Xavier, Leggett, that's too much.
I think they need another weapon.
Blown. Your draft's blown.
Cardinals with the trade down, they get Falk, an edge with upside, so they get a corner and an edge rusher. Rodgers gets protection for the offensive line if it's him. And I'm not giving Justin Herbert another weapon. They have had departure in free agency with Oweh. I think that the Chargers go edge rusher here. Eagles are going to be a prime team to trade up, but they'll settle for Monroe Freeling. Lane Johnson is 35 years old. And then I have another trade, Houston jumping the Niners and the Bills to take the versatile offensive lineman out of Utah.
Now I feel bad if we're like, how should Jalen feel? But in your mock draft, we had Jaden Proctor going there, which I like teaming him with Mailata. So how do you think Jalen should feel about this draft?
I think that
you went offensive line for Eagles?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went offensive line for Eagles because I think that's what Howie Roseman likes. And they have 5 first-round picks on their defense already.
Yep.
I don't think they are going, even if they plan on trading A.J. Brown, I don't think they're spending even more draft capital on receiver when they've spent draft capital via receiver trade. They have Devontae Smith. I just think that this is who the Eagles are. So I think Jalen Hurts probably is confident enough to be like, man, Devontae Smith plus these other guys is enough for me. So I think he'd be fine with it, bro.
Yeah, I agree. You got to go offensive line and just get him some protection, get the running game going again. And they've added 3 receivers this offseason. So even if they lose A.J. Brown, I mean, Devontae's your number 1. So, yeah, I would be fine with them going.
They also often draft when they already have a starter.
Yes.
They draft for depth more than any other team in the NFL. So, and they always draft guys out of Georgia. That's another.
All right, Jets on the clock at 25.
Yeah, so this is the trade down spot for the Bears where they picked up the extra second-round pick. I'm going Denzel Boston to the Jets.
Interesting.
Because what was it? The first pick that I had the Jets taking was David Bailey, so they get 1 defensive player and 1 offensive player. I think Peter Woods. I think the Bills would sprint this card in. They gave up over 5 yards per carry on the ground last year. So just it's a weird defensive tackle draft, but I think Peter Woods and Caden McDonald would be like the top guys for the Bills. I had him going with the DT out of Clemson. Again, I think the Niners are an interesting spot where they can go a ton of different ways. I went edge rusher with Lawrence. The Browns in the trade down spot with the Texans take the high upside receiver out of A&M. Chiefs rebuild their secondary in 1 draft with the corner out of Tennessee. The Dolphins, I think they'll be looking to trade out and get more capital for next year, but if they do stay in this spot, they go offensive line with the first pick, defensive line here. It's basically a tank year. You just start building from the trenches for the future. Most people don't have the Patriots taking a safety, but most people also have McNeil Warren going higher than this. So I think this would just be a pure best player available who falls to them spot. And then Ty Simpson gave up a ton of NIL money, reportedly, to leave. I don't know that means he necessarily has a guarantee that he's going round 1, but he left college. It's a weak quarterback draft. He is attending the draft in person. teams will want a fifth-year option if they are going to take a quarterback and not play him right away. So I have Arizona jump with the 34th pick, sending a fifth-round pick to jump the Jets at 33 and take the Seahawks pick at 32. It's not much for Seattle, but they don't have a lot of draft capital this year, so they get an extra fifth-round pick to move down 2 spots, and Ty Simpson goes to the Cardinals, who now in this version have 3 first-round picks.
Do we like Ty Simpson as a first-round quarterback?
I think it is likely that Ty Simpson goes in the first round.
He's there. I always think that's something.
I
in
didn't even think about that.
So I've gone both ways on this. Like, was he invited to the draft because it's good television to watch a guy fall?
No.
And like show all of the times where he gets.
Well, the thing is this: you wouldn't really be showing him fall because nobody is It's not like nobody's expecting him to go in the top 25.
Yeah, but you don't think that when the Jets are on the clock at 16 that they'll start being like, Ty Simpson, a quarterback, the Steelers, Ty Simpson,
I think the Steelers is where the first time they show it.
Well, that'll be interesting if it's in Pittsburgh, what the crowd is like if they want Ty Simpson.
I think quarterbacks are always a story of the draft, and it's really rare for only one to go in the first round. In the last 10 years, it's Kenny Pickett. We were looking it up the other day. For a quarterback to go number 1 overall and then no other QB, the Troy Aikman draft had happened, the Mike Vick draft had happened, but if a QB goes 1, some team figures out a way to justify.
And by the way, I think the Vick draft, a quarterback also went 32. It was Breeze. It just wasn't the first round.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right.
Because there wasn't 32 teams at that point because the Texans weren't there yet. I know, exactly. Of course.
He went 32, but not round 1. We'll split that.
But listen, the point that I'm making, Brew, is I don't think Ty Simpson is, in theory, worth a first-round pick. But I do think he is going to go in the top 45, and if you're going to spend a high second rounder on him, I disagree with Coach entirely about the fifth-year option not being as valuable because you get extended. Even if you would get extended, when these quarterbacks sign extensions, they tack it on the back of a contract so you can spread the money out. So that fifth-year option makes you able to, a 4-year extension becomes, you have them through year 9 instead of year 8. And I just think the teams at the top of round 2 need a quarterback. And if you're not at the top of round 2 and you're in the middle of round 2, you're thinking, man, if we don't move up to the end of round 1, either the Jets or the Cardinals at the top of round 2 are going to get him.
Don't you think, Brew, that the Cardinals are thinking quarterback next year? Like, we're going to be pretty bad, guys. I don't know if you know our
Well, there was a time when everybody was raving about this year's draft as a quarterback draft a couple years ago, and a lot of those guys, Nussmeier,
Nussmeier, Drew Aller.
Yeah, they're like not
Arch
even a
Manning
thought
went
at
back.
this point. Yep. So, look, I would like this for the Cardinals. You got to have a quarterback at some point. So you got to take a shot at a guy. A lot of people like him. People loved him early in the season. So I would not be mad at the Cardinals at all for this.
Okay. Excellent 1.0. With some trades. I thought it was good.
Are you jealous that you didn't get to do any trades?
No,
you weren't allowed.
I'm going to win the worldwide mock draft competition.
Yep.
My first year ever doing it, I finished, I think, 17th.
In the world.
Last year, I finished in the top 25.
In the world.
I'm going to win the competition. Peter Schrager, he's the defending champion, but now he's spending a little too much time in the makeup room, a little too famous, not working the phones like he used to.
Right, that's true.
Wow. That is true.
Okay,
Listen, he's my good dear friend, the world's greatest mock drafter last year. He's too famous for his own good now.
Where is Jeremiah Love going to go? That's next on Frenemies and First Things First Overtime.
The sports media ombudsman appearance. We welcome you back to a Frenemies on a draft day where I'm happy to report that I'm already up 1-0, Nick, as you have
bad beat.
reported some what appears to be fake
I might have got duped. I might have got duped by the scurrilous internet people. My David Bailey Instagram re-reporting. I might have been tricked. I was. You know what? This is why I shouldn't try to in real time be like, hey, look what I saw.
You're like, Danny, you're on your phone too much.
Yeah, Danny. David Bailey. It doesn't look like posted anything on Instagram about the Jets. My apologies to David Bailey and his friends and family.
It can happen to the best of us. Jeremiah Love, one of the biggest biggest stories in the draft, but it's also not a premium position historically. Let's take a look at running backs who have just gone in the top 12, over the last decade or so. It's a who's who of names that obviously you would really like. So you could factor this in with Jeremiah Love, or in general, Nick, how high is too high to take a running back?
Listen, I don't think there is a number that's too high. And the reason I think this graphic is interesting is there have been a lot of first-round pick running backs that haven't worked out. There have been almost none, zero, super high first-round running backs last decade plus that weren't awesome. Like the worst career on this list is Leonard Fournette.
Right.
And the Jags made an AFC championship game with Blake Bortles at quarterback. He was a part of it. He was obviously excellent with the Bucs. Like, the NFL's been really good at when they say, hey, this running back is special. He's been special. Now, I know Ginty had a disappointing rookie year.
We haven't seen him be special in the NFL yet, but there's no reason to think he's not special.
Correct. And so I guess we'll wait and see on Ginty. I just think it's about whether or not your team is ready to maximize his first 5 years. Because Saquon's a great player. It's not that he wasn't worthy the second-round pick. The Giants weren't good enough to draft him, if that makes sense.
So maybe you would say then this is a distinction without a difference. So let's see here.
Yeah.
To me, that does mean he wasn't worth the second overall pick for the Giants. Like, I don't think we have an example of a running back taking a bad team and making them good. We have examples of running backs taking good teams and making them great. Like, Bijan Robinson is amazing. One of the best offensive players in football. Has not had a winning season yet. Like, if we put the same graphic back up, but I put the win percentage on their rookie deal, first 4 years with the team, there are some, like Zeke Elliott.
Was the engine behind a team that went 13-3.
Yeah. Absolutely. Almost, Jahmyr Gibbs was the 12th pick.
Yeah.
So further down on a very good team, and they hit on a bunch of picks, obviously around.
Todd Gurley went to the Super Bowl.
Most of the guys who go to bad teams have losing records. So like when I see Jeremiah Love at 3 to Arizona, I just think that's insane.
Okay.
And I would say the same thing about Genty last year to the Raiders.
So listen, I should have I don't have this in front of me. I wonder, though, if you were like, hey, show me the first left tackle taken in the draft over the last decade and the winning percentage. I bet it's bad because bad teams typically stay bad. So my pushback on the Saquon thing would be this. Or you know what? I'll use this year's draft as an example. You have the Cowboys trading 12 and 20 to move up to number 3.
Yep.
If they did that and drafted Jeremiah Love, that's not too high for Jeremiah Love. You're right? Like that's the Cowboys don't specifically have a need. But my point is you're saying that 2 was too high for Saquon because the Giants weren't able to maximize.
It's a bad team.
But if a team had traded multiple firsts to move up to number 2 to draft Saquon Barkley, that can be a good pick. If had the Chiefs not signed Kenneth Walker.
And they got Jeremiah Love, it'd be a great pick.
No, but not just gotten him at 9. Traded up to number 4 and drafted him in the top 4, that he would be worth it. And so I don't think there is a definitive spot in the draft where it's like, oh, you just can't get enough value there. I do think, though, it is not a individually transformational position. But I also don't think anything other than quarterback really is. My bigger concern on drafting a running back super high is length of career, in which case you do need to be somewhat prepared to win right now. And so here's what I would ask you. You think Washington be fine for Jeremiah Love?
Yeah. I think that's the right type of team to take the swing. Yeah, absolutely.
Would you feel that same way if they had the 3rd overall pick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's
yes.
right.
It's not that to me it is pure. It is more the team than the draft position.
Slot. Okay, so then we agree.
Yeah,
I think an awful team.
Arizona and Tennessee taking Jeremiah Love,
I think, would be a misallocation of resources.
Yeah,
I agree.
And part of it is because of how bad the team is. And listen, the financial piece of it is not insignificant. Like if you hit on Arvell Reese and he is elite, the cap savings relative to an elite defensive end for him on a rookie deal is $30+ million per year. For a running back, it is half of that. So I do think the money difference is a part of the equation. But Jeremiah Love to the Giants, Jeremiah Love to the Commanders, Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs pre-Kenneth Walker, that is totally fine. I think the Titans and the Cardinals would be insane to take him, though it seems like they're going to. Speaking of your Chiefs, let's talk about a report from our buddy Mike Flory as we go to Jacksonville that the Jaguars are looking to get back into the first round. They gave up their first-round pick last year in the trade with Cleveland to move up for the Jaguars to get Travis Hunter at 2nd overall. Brian Thomas could be made available for a first-round pick tonight. They don't pick again until the late 50s. Nick, if this is real, who do you like to give up a first-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr.?
Well, listen, I think that, let me start with the Chiefs. I would do it. I would.
You'd give up 29.
I would try to get like Brian Thomas and a 5th. But I would give up 29 for Brian Thomas Jr. I would not give up 29 for A.J. Brown. And age and price. Brian Thomas Jr. still has some of that added value of the rookie pay scale because he's only been in the league 2 years. So you get him for the next 2 years basically for free, 5th-year option, not brutal, and so you have some of that built-in edge, which makes first-round picks so valuable. This was a trade that some Chiefs Twitter was talking about during last season. Trent McDuffie, which is what they got, how they got the 29th pick, for Brian Thomas Jr. So for the Chiefs, I think it would make a lot of sense. I also think the Patriots should think long and hard. Does giving up the 31st pick this year make more sense than trading next year's first rounder for A.J. Brown, not just because of age and salary, but because the overwhelming odds are next year's pick is going to be a better pick than 31.
Yeah, it'll be in the 20s probably.
And if the Chiefs can pick at 9 and the Ravens can pick at 14, anybody can pick, a super high. And so the Chiefs and the Pats are the two teams most notably that I would say should really be discussing this as far as one-for-one trades.
Yeah, I think that Brian Thomas Jr. is a very interesting player because his rookie year,
he was unbelievable.
He looked like a superstar. It was almost 90 catches, almost 1,300 yards, a bunch of touchdowns, made the game look easy. How do we explain this past year when everything went right for Jacksonville? Like Liam Cohen was a hit, Travis Etienne salvaged, Trevor Lawrence, your guy, top five, thank you, for MVP. Parker Washington, Jacoby
Everything
Myers.
was a hit except for their 2-star receivers, Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas.
And it looked difficult. Even some of his catches were bobbles.
Yeah.
So it would just scare me that everything else around him got better offensively, and he for some reason got worse without his quarterback changing. But if you believe that rookie year Brian Thomas Jr. is the right guy, then if we can put up the list of teams that are picking in the lower third of the draft, I mean, half of them, man.
So
like the Eagles would at least have the conversation because Howie Roseman is super aggressive in both directions. Yeah. The Browns, if they don't take a receiver at the top, they have 2 first round. They'd have the conversation. The Bears would not. The Bills would not.
So hold on. Can we just spend a second on the Bills? If the Bills decided, what if we just turn a weakness into an overwhelming strength, and we don't roll the dice on young player? Because he is a young player, but college unproven in the NFL.
Right, we haven't been good at drafting, so we're going to just go out and do the Rams thing.
We just say we are turning our 1st and 2nd round pick into DJ Moore and Brian Thomas Jr., and all of a sudden we have a legitimate 1-2 receiving punch to go along with Josh Allen and our new head coach. You dismissed it, and logically, it's like, is any team in the league going to spend their first 2 picks, the 1st and 2nd rounder on wide receiver? Probably doesn't make sense. I think it's worth at least a momentary discussion if you're Buffalo of What if we turn on its head entirely the weakness of our offense? So we now have a great running back, a very good offensive line, a top 3 quarterback, and 2 excellent wide receivers, something Josh has never had.
Listen, you make a compelling case. It would be exciting. It would arguably lead the show tomorrow if it happened, so it would be a huge headline move. They really do need defensive line help and help against the run, so it would surprise me given the DJ Moore move. But San Francisco, how long is Mike Evans going to be there? Your point about New England, I think, makes a ton of sense if they want to do the cheaper version of A.J. Brown.
Also, if they trade their first-round pick this year, Vrabel doesn't have to do a press conference till May 27th, I read today.
Yeah.
That's something I read on the internet that's not fake, unlike the previous thing. So that would be nice for them.
That's added. Their PR director is like, Brian Thomas Jr. is a great player. No, it is so interesting to me because I could legitimately see there. I showed 11 teams there. I could look at, say, half the general managers would be like, a first-round pick, the guy got worse in Jacksonville, and half the other teams being like, of course, this guy could be a top 10 receiver in football.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fair value on Brian Thomas Jr. with only 2 years into his career right now is probably like exactly the 32nd pick of the draft. So if the Bills were interested, I would want like a 4th rounder back.
Yeah.
That's why I said for the Chiefs, a 5th rounder to go along with it. But he was the same receiving class as Marvin, Rome, and Neighbors, right?
Yep.
And he was the best rookie.
Neighbors was really good.
Neighbors was really good.
Neighbors was really good.
He was certainly in line. Like
yes,
he was
production-wise, he was right there.
That's what I meant. Production-wise, he was certainly better than Marvin, certainly better than Rome, and right there with Neighbors. I don't think that was a fluke. It also might be more about, for some reason, the scheme change from Doug Peterson to Liam Cohen didn't fit his skill set. So that's the other thing I would look into.
Yep.
And maybe this is why the Chiefs would be interested. Like, hey, do we have more in common with what Doug Peterson was running than we do Liam Cohen? Something there.
All right, you made your points back in Frenemies. And we'll bring Willie Colon and Coach Mangini out here to go through some of the biggest storylines of my one and only mock draft coming up on the OT. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. It's draft day. Eat your pancakes. Eric Mangini and Willie Colon are out here. The draft is 2 hours away. I got it in right under the wire, my one and only mock draft. So we're going through some of the biggest storylines from it. And, they like us talking about Dallas, so let's go there. I had the Cowboys executing the trade-up that I proposed in our war room situation. I just don't. A lot of teams are going to try to trade up for the second edge rusher in the draft. I think New Orleans is a candidate. I think the Chiefs are a candidate. But 12 and 20 can get you into the top 4. They haven't made the huge swing this offseason, so I think this is where Jerry takes the big swing. Coach, would you be okay if this trade happened? You get a 4th-round pick back, you give up your 2 first-round picks, and you go up and get Arvell Reese.
Yeah, my feeling on any trade is if you have a real conviction on a guy, then you go do it. And we traded up to get Darrelle Revis, and we had set that up the night before. And if he was available when Carolina was on the clock, we were going to make the trade. And that was a real conviction. We felt great about it, and thankfully it worked out as well as it did. It's the same thing for Dallas. The only thing you worry about, though, Danny, is with a team that's as needy as Dallas is defensively, going to get one player and a guy like Arvell Reese, who isn't exactly one position player. You're taking a little bit of a chance there, too. It can be fantastic, but that defense needs a lot of help, so you'd hate to give up 2 real quality guys unless you are 100% certain you're going to hit a home run.
I'm on the same page with Coach, man. Listen, I understand if you feel like David Bailey's the guy, which to a lot of reports, obviously a polished pass rusher, but he's not a franchise-altering player. I think at 12 and 20, man, you have a chance to get younger, tougher, and cheaper. And so you can have a Mansour Delane out of LSU waiting for you at 12, right? You can possibly have T.J. Parker there. So I think with all that, I just think you have to be careful. And listen, I understand Dallas's want, right? Because if you got Rashawn Gary, Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark, and now David Bailey, possibly if you go up to number 3 and get him, now you're sitting there like, man, we can now attack the season and feel like we're turning things around. But you can't miss. And so I wouldn't take the risk.
It's just a lot of the reporting seems to be that this is a very top-heavy draft. Like there's like
really good group of players at the top, and then it's kind of flattened and spread out. So it feels like if there's going to be trades up, it would be for these premium players. I don't know that there's going to be many trade ups in the teens and 20s. And so like a guy like Arvell Reese, if you have conviction, it's a premium position. You pay him a lot of money. We know Jerry likes to take the big swings. Let's go to Kansas City, though. They also have 2 picks in the first round. They got 9 and 29. And I've been saying they owe it to Mahomes to get a weapon, but more holes on the roster are on the defensive side of the ball. So I had them just overhauling their secondary with Caleb Downs and Colton Hood with the 2 picks. I personally would want them to go offense because, as you know, Coach, I like scoring points. But how would you feel, Willie, if they just went secondary after trading Trent McDuffie and not giving Mahomes a weapon?
Well, I think at number 9, it feels like a responsible pick. I agree with that. But I think at the 29th, you have to address. You're talking about owing Patrick Mahomes something? You owe him an offensive lineman, right? Like you lost Jawan Taylor. Isaiah Simmons is a question mark. Right now, if you have an opportunity to go get a Blake Miller out of Clemson or possibly Caden Proctor, like if those guys fall around, you have to take offensive line. I think you need to address that because this offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs gave up 47 sacks last season, right? So you're talking about a quarterback coming off a bum knee. He's going to need some protection. So I would address that as well.
Yeah, I'm never opposed to drafting a good offensive lineman. I drafted 2 in my first draft.
Damn sure did.
And I didn't regret it all, and they were there for a long time, and it was a great decision. And that would be a fantastic decision for Kansas City, too, if you could help protect Patrick Mahomes. But the flip side of that is always the discussion of to whom much is given, much is expected. And the most is expected from Patrick Mahomes because of how great he is and the fact that he, because of his contract, needs to elevate the guys around him offensively. He may not get all the pieces that he necessarily wants and those luxury pieces, but he's really going to appreciate the defense being able to hold the team at the end of the game, in a 2-minute drive because he's got good young players in the secondary.
So if you trade away, the Chiefs have done an amazing job of developing secondary players, and they have a history of either letting cornerbacks leave in free agency or trade them away, whether it was Marcus Peters, L'Jarius Sneed, now with Trent McDuffie. Like, it has been a pattern for them. Would it be weird to trade, for lack of a better, more professional word, to trade Trent McDuffie away and then immediately draft someone at the same position?
No, not necessarily, because to your point, you're getting cheaper. Trent McDuffie's going to got paid a ton of money.
Yeah,
and that's also the problem. You love that your draft picks develop and are successful, and you'd love to be able to pay them all. But at some point, the resources run out, and you have to say, okay, if we do have a really good track record of developing this position, let's go do that again, get cheaper, and then allocate those resources somewhere else.
Well, the reason I like your pick at Caleb Downs because Spags likes to disguise, right? He always interchange those guys in and out of the box, and I think he gives you that type of versatility or range. So if you don't stay at number 9, or you're going to get aggressive and go up to get a Caleb Downs, that makes sense to me as well.
Yeah, in the mock, I had obviously Bailey and Reese going, but then I also had Ruben Bain going right before. I feel like they maybe would prefer an edge rusher there, but if there's no one on the board, and are you concerned with Ruben Bain Jr.? Small arms. Everyone's talking about it today, that his arms are a little short. I know it came out of the combine.
He's put you watch his tape, man. He's throwing grown men around at 320 pounds with those short arms. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing because history says nobody with those arms ever had double-digit sacks.
Yep.
But we all know that things are made to be broken. Records are made to be broken. Patterns are made to be broken. So hopefully he can be the.
But on top of that, there's guys who have been highly productive with short arms. You're talking about Aiden Hutchinson, Brandon Graham, Elvis Dumerville. Like all these guys had hellified and still have hellified careers with those short arms. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that.
All right, so let's go to Arizona here. But really, it's a Ty Simpson conversation because I had the Cardinals, and a lot of people have said this. They're at 34, trading back into the first round, getting that 5th-year option, and taking a quarterback in Ty Simpson. It's just rare for there only to be one quarterback who goes in the first round. So whether you like it for the Cardinals or not, Coach, we'll focus it on Ty Simpson. This is what the comp would be. It's not much. You give up the 5th-round pick, you move up 2 spots from 34 to 32. Seattle picks up an extra late-round pick. But do you expect Ty Simpson to get his name called tonight, either with the team just using a pick or we'll call it the Jackson Dart model, trading back into the latter half of the first round to take a quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Where you have it makes absolute sense. To get
Last pick of the first round.
Yeah, to get the fifth-year option. Although, ironically, if the player's any good, he never sees the fifth year of that contract anyways. But I understand the mechanics of it. Do I expect it to happen? I don't expect it to happen, but this is such a quarterback-starved league that anybody with some hope of potential to be that starter has value.
Well, I'll say this: if it does happen, I just pray to God it's not my Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just being honest with you. I mean,
well, in Pittsburgh, with no Rodgers news, the city would combust.
We've been here before. I like Kenny Pickett. Listen, this kid has 15 starts. I question his toughness. I'm just not for it. I don't think he gets his name called on day one.
Okay, so you think so? The football side of me says, why didn't you beat out Jalen Milroe a year ago? Like, that's weird. You were at Alabama, highly touted guy, couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe. But then the media consumer, borderline conspiracy theorist to me is like, you passed up reportedly millions of dollars in NIL money to go back to school.
Sure.
And you accepted an invitation to attend the draft in person. If he's got good agenting, and not everybody does,
right,
you would suggest, like, he's got some sort of assurances that he's going to go in the first round. Like, why would you give up $5 million, reportedly, to go back to college, to enter the draft, to then subject yourself to be on national TV, make a trip to Pittsburgh, if you don't have some sort of guarantee in your pocket that you're having your name called?
Well,
tonight?
we've seen him during, I guess, whatever workout he had preparing for the draft, where he feels highly about himself. He's
at his pro day, he projected
confident.
A lot of confidence.
Yeah, he was telling people
why
why he's the guy. So I think it's on brand for him to be here.
Yeah, and to Willie's point, you don't become a successful college quarterback at an elite program unless you are extremely confident in your abilities and who you are and your chances of being successful. So I'm sure that he has that same level of confidence going in the draft, that I do have value, I can't help a team win, and a smart team is going to take a chance on me.
Yep.
Well, I'm saying that it's happening. Supply and demand, and he's going to the draft. So I think Ty Simpson. I think someone trades. You know, the Jets move up, the Cardinals move up. Very end of the first round, I think he gets his name called tonight. We're also predicting our winners of the draft coming up. We'll do it again tomorrow, but we're going to do it on the front end tonight. So many sports tonight, cannot wait. We are just over 2 hours until the NFL draft. The past 3 weeks, we've talked all the big names, the stories, the teams. Huge night, Coach. Simple question, a lot of answers. Who is winning the draft tonight?
I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I thought they did a great job last year. Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, Quinshon Judkins, Harold Fannin, picked up an extra number one, 2 quarterbacks. You know, say what you want, but they've got 2 candidates there, young quarterbacks. They'll probably look to trade back again, gain capital. If they can hit anywhere near how they hit last year, should be them.
Right now they got 6-24. Willie?
I have the Rams. I got a trade proposal. Can we throw that in? Yeah.
You do?
You know how you say F them picks? This is what I got. If I'm the Rams, I'm calling up the Raiders and say, hey, I'm going to give you the 13th. I'm going to give you the first round of next year in 2027. I'm going to throw in Byron Young. Bring me Max Crosby. Boom. That's how you win it. They're one guy away. This is your window. Matthew Stafford's possibly his last year.
It was 2 first-round picks, and then he flunked his physical. Now you're giving 2 first-round picks.
That's Baltimore news. I got nothing to do with the Rams.
And an extra player?
Has nothing to do with the Rams business.
I want to get that physical done right now.
Yeah. Listen, I will tell you this. The Raiders would accept that trade in an absolute heartbeat. Hey,
make the phone call.
Make the phone. Okay.
Make the phone call.
All right. I love that. Good for you. I think that is about a 0%er, but that's really fun.
Swing for it, baby.
That's a big swing.
I'm going chalk. You got 2 picks in the top 10.
Who you got?
The Giants. You have to win the draft. The Jets, when they had 2 top 10 picks, got Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Like, this is an opportunity to get 2 difference makers for Jackson Dart.
Difference between have to and will.
Have to and will is different. Good job, Coach.